live, buddy.
Excellent.
I'm so glad to have you back, Brett.
I'm happy to be here. I'm just sending my wife the link so she can watch this fabulous
Yeah, you can
podcast.
put it on Facebook too. It's live, so anybody can watch it.
All right.
Hopefully people will, because I think this is going to be a good one.
Well, I hope so.
Thanks for the cigar, bud.
Absolutely. One of my favorites, the Undercrown, but this is one of their special edition ones. Hard to find, and I was able to get two.
Well, I'm honored.
I saved this
Cheers.
just so I could
Cheers.
share it with you.
I appreciate it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I gave you some good ones. There's a few in there that are super high end. Most of them are going to be like B&M if you go $12 to the $15 range, but there's a couple of $20 and $30 ones in there. I didn't pay that.
You know, I find that
you and I are kind of the same. We both buy boxes.
Very frugal with my cigar money, and
but we buy boxes, so we're not paying brick and mortar prices.
and that's what I do. But I find that some of the mid-range stuff is better than the expensive stuff because the Toro Fuente Opus X, which is now $70, $60, $70, $80 cigar, and I get a Ave Maria Reconista. Which is $18 to $20, and they're equal in enjoyment. I mean, so I buy the lower brand, I guess.
No, I'm right there with you, dude. Those Marco V's, they're $8 in a brick and mortar store, and I will put them against any, and I mean any, $15 cigar. And I'm convinced those $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $70 cigars, I'm convinced it's a combination of three things. Marketing. There's a lot of advertising costs. They spend a lot of money to push that name and that brand. Number two, quality control. They're throwing away a lot of cigars to make sure you get a good one.
Right.
And number three, hype. Just pure demand.
Yeah.
Just pure supply and demand.
You're looking at, name recognition on a lot of the stuff. But, even some of the moderately or modestly priced ones that have the Nicaraguan, filtered tobacco, they mix it with Cuban tobacco, or they take Cuban seeds and they grow it in Nicaragua. It has a completely different flavor than in Cuba because you have
the soil,
different soil and aeration and stuff. But I'll tell you, the Nicaraguan with the Cuban seeds, some of the best cigars I've ever had.
Yeah, I am in the camp, and I talked to the Marco V guys about this. I am in the camp that Cuba hasn't made the best cigars in the world since somewhere between the 90s and the early 2000s.
I would even say after the 60s, it just went downhill. There are people that still have these Cubans that were hand rolled from the 60s, early 70s. Those cigars are going for thousands of dollars.
That's why I asked you. So, do you actually like that Cuban taste? Because it's not flavorful like it is from Nicaragua and Dominican Republic. It tastes like hay.
I had a buddy I worked with that was stationed at Guantanamo, and one of the things was a fantastic guy, great police officer. Always looked after us cigar smokers, and he sent back a care package from Cuba. With a lot of the Cuban Arturo Fuentes or basic stuff and some really good stuff that he got on base. And the flavor on those, even though putting them into the humidor, and I kept them in the humidor for about a year just so they were fantastic, and smoked them, and they were okay. I mean, I wouldn't say, oh, my God, this is the greatest cigar. They were okay.
Yeah, it's a very signature taste that a real Cuban has. And it's not a super flavorful cigar. It's what I call a flavor bomb, right? And that doesn't mean it's super powerful. I'm just saying, like I was describing that one to you, the Armada.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the foot of that cigar, and especially if you go really low like I do, I go down as low as I can physically hold them.
Yeah, burning my fingers.
Yeah, exactly. I'll put the little stick in there and even get a couple more. But you put it out, and I'm not joking, like within minutes, like 2 to 5 minutes, you'll be doing something, and you'll lick your lips, and you're like, I literally taste chocolate. Like, it's not just an aroma.
Right.
Like, this literally tastes like chocolate now. And it's just super. That's not going to come from a Cuban is all I'm getting at.
The thing that I found with the Cubans, they're a complimentary cigar. Complements like a nice whiskey. So if you have a really good bourbon, that cigar, it changes the flavor of that cigar with the whiskey. It's a good pairing item, and back in the day, back in the turn of the century, cigars were smoked with drinking brandy. You didn't just smoke a cigar. That was unheard of. You enjoyed a brandy with the cigar because you paired it. So I found like their Toro Fuente, the Habano, they're good with good whiskey or a good like cognac. And that's how after I had one, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to pair these. And there's good pairing cigars. Like the one here, the Undercrown that we have here, you don't need anything. It stands, on its own. And
it's going great with the Guinness.
Great, yeah. Oh, yeah. And Guinness is another good one with any Maduro. I love Guinness with the Maduro. Pairs
What's
perfectly.
super interesting is that, and I'm not talking, I've said this, people have heard me say this a lot, so I got to be careful because I'm talking about two different things right now. For two different reasons, even in Cuba, you can't get a real classic Cuban anymore. And there's two reasons for it. Yep. Number one, the original Cuban seed, which was called, look this up. I believe it's either called the Criollo, which is, it's Criollo, which is Criollo. It's either that or it's the Corojo, which is Coroja. Look both those up. One of those is the true original Cuban seed.
Yep.
But it wasn't very pretty. It wasn't very good.
Yep.
And then they developed the next one, and I think that's the Corojo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we kind of get this silky smooth, beautiful wrapper, right? But then they ended up with some sort of blight, some sort of fungus. I can't remember what. I think it's called blue mold, and it literally killed 100% Creole tobacco, original Cuban seed. Yep, Noda's native seed. Yep, and then the next one, Corojo, is the evolution of that.
Right,
and then. That, I think it's called blue mold, but they had some sort of blight, and all of that's gone. So what happened is they created a new seed called the Habano, and I believe it's called the Habano 98. And that is the seed that was able to withstand this blue mold. So,
right.
So quite literally, that's reason number one, even in Cuba, you're not getting a Cuban cigar like they made in the 60s. It's just not going to be a thing. It's not going
to be the same.
Number two, they signed a proverbial contract with an exclusive contract, and it's not a literal handwritten contract, but it's a backdoor deal with the Chinese Communist Party to buy 100% of the Cuban stock.
I heard that too.
So even in Cuba right now, you can't buy a real Cuban cigar.
Not unless you get it hand rolled. And the things that they were doing before is like on the island you have different aeration, you have different salt and moisture and stuff. So they were taking different same seed but in different areas as the filler.
Yep.
And then in one area where you had a lot of humidity, a lot of the soil, volcanic soil, they did the broadleaf. So when they rolled these, like back in the 60s, you had an incredible cigar, and that's not what you get now. Now for the consumer, they'll put together. Well, here's the broadleaf from over here. It's not the original broadleaf. We're going to throw a filler here from one of the areas, and it just doesn't taste the same.
Right.
It's okay, and that's because you're not blending the filler from different parts of the island to get the different flavors to have it, and then you're getting a rich. Kind of a spice-flavored, rich, almost chocolatey flavor broadleaf that it's, wrapped in.
Yep.
And it's not done like they used to,
No.
Where you had someone that would actually roll them. Now, they would have people that would, in Guantanamo, from my understanding, as they would have guys who would come in and they would blend and roll these cigars on site, and you can't send them back. But they, from my understanding, what I've told is like, sorry you got the shit cigars because these are the bomb. And it's like, yeah, you shouldn't have told me that.
Yeah. If somebody's listening to this and they want to try something that's as close to a Cuban as possible from the New World cigar lines. Ironically, it's the Arturo Fuente Hemingway cigar.
Yes.
That is a direct clone from the company that makes it in Cuba, but they're doing it outside of Cuba so they can sell it to Americans. And it's a direct clone of the Joya del Monterrey, number 2, I think. Look that up for me. Joya de Monterrey,
and they do
number 2 Cuban clone, and it should say it's the Arturo Fuente. Or you can reverse that, type it the other way, and it'll tell you what it's a clone of. But if you guys want to know what a Cuban cigar tastes like, the closest you'll ever get to it is that cigar.
Well, and Arturo Fuente also does both the Honduran and Nicaraguan.
Yeah, and that Hemingway is Nicaraguan.
Yeah.
But they intentionally designed that to get as close
as possible,
a classic Cuban as you could. Is that what? Yeah, the Joya de Monterrey, number 2 Cuban clone. Yeah.
And I was lucky to get a couple of those when somebody.
Yeah, and it should tell you that it's the Hemingway.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. Oh. And I liked it because it wasn't like the torpedo, like the small torpedo style. I mean, it was a full 6-inch, 50 gauge, delicious. I mean, it was awesome.
So I asked you this before we started the podcast, but you are a retired sergeant in a local police department.
Yes.
So what we'll say is, yeah, you can speak from authority on objective protocols and truths. So are ICE agents, because first of all, let's say this. Cops is not a real word. Cop is almost a pejorative. It's like a slang term.
It is a slang term. It's
slang not a real word.
It's named, cops is short for coppers. And back in England,
their badges were copper.
Their badges were made out of copper. And back in England, where today's design of law enforcement came from the Metropolitan Police that they started out from Sir Robert Peel. And those officers, and he said for officers, you had to be uniformed. You have to be, somebody can look at and say, oh, there is the officer there. You had to stand out. You had to be in uniform. You had to be professional. And they had copper badges, so they called them coppers. And cops just became the slang term for that. So
shortened version of
it's just a slang term.
The correct term is law enforcement officer, aka Leos.
Yep.
So are ICE agents Leos? Are they cops?
Yes, they're federal. Right. And you have a variance of different law enforcement agencies. You have federal, you have state, you have city or municipality, you have county. And then you have other agencies like in federal, you have DEA, you have the U.S. Marshals, you have FBI, there's CIA.
And it's weird, too, because they all enforce different shit. Yeah, so, like, the Marshals are, I think, the most interesting, right?
You have Secret Service. They're law enforcement as well.
So. Oh, and fire marshals are law enforcement officers.
Correct.
They have a badge and a gun, and they can make actual arrests literally to the same level of any cop.
But you have different, with all of this, you have to remember there's different jurisdictional duties that they uphold. Different jurisdictional, statutes. When you have, say, a local agency, let's say Minneapolis, they have a city ordinance. And those laws are just for the city of Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. And that's just within their precincts. That's it. Anything outside of Minneapolis becomes a different jurisdiction, which could be county.
Didn't Minnesota get rid of that, though? So, like, a Blaine cop can make an arrest in Fridley? Because that used to be the thing, is like just get across the city line and they have to stop following you and they can't arrest you. Blah, blah,
let's
blah.
say a Fridley cop or a Blaine cop observes the infraction or the something. Let's say they're pulling a car over and the car flees from them, and it goes into Fridley. They just don't stop. They
can continue their pursuit. Got it.
They're going to let Fridley know, and Fridley may end up taking control of the pursuit because it's now in their jurisdiction.
Sure.
But
in the heat of the moment,
it just doesn't stop there. And that's it goes without saying, you have a person that commits a crime, the cop is running after him, and the police officer sees that person run into a house. It's called hot pursuit. Oh, well, I can't go in the house because I don't have a warrant, but you're in hot pursuit. You can go in the house.
Right.
And all bets are off.
Because you have probable cause.
Right.
Like,
so
it's already been established.
There's all these different, continuums of what you can.
Is that the literal legal term, is a continuum?
Well, I wouldn't call it continuum, but a continuum means how things progress forward.
Sure.
From down here, it's minimal, and up here, it's maximum. So you have this continuum that goes up. So you have different municipality. You're going to have city ordinance. Counties are going to enforce both statute and municipality, depending on the city that they're patrolling. And then you have state, and they do all that stuff. You could have, say, transit. They do stuff within any county area. So, and then you have federal. Now, a federal officer is not going to arrest somebody on a city ordinance because they're a federal police officer. It would have to be, are they in the area on a law enforcement action?
So the other day they were.
Mm-hmm.
And they're enforcing federal laws.
Yes.
Which are immigration in this case.
Right.
Or fraud. Because if they're accepting federal dollars and committing fraud with that, that becomes a federal crime.
So they're here federally. So they're following federal guidelines. They're not going to. They see somebody do run a stop sign. They're not going to pull that person over for a traffic violation.
And you're saying they literally can't, because running a stop sign is not a federal crime.
It's not a federal crime. It's not a federal offense. Now,
this does not mean break petty laws in front of federal agents because they can't do anything. What it's saying is these cops know that they can't just willy-nilly do whatever they want.
Right.
They have a very strict, military would call it rules of engagement.
Right. And the military.
What is the cop version of that? What is the cop versions of rules of engagement or laws allowed to enforce or whatever?
Well,
what's the word for that?
Well, it goes with their policy and procedure.
Policies and procedures.
When it comes to that. So when you're talking about this thing that happened the other day, you're talking about, To
be clear, for the listeners that are possibly confused, we're talking about this, what's her name? Something Good? Renee Good.
Yeah, so you have someone who's blocking traffic. It's a petty misdemeanor. If they're just blocking traffic because they got caught on the ice and they're trying to get out and they can't get out, they're not going to pull that person over because, it's not their jurisdictional duty to, give that person a ticket. But in this case, this person was at that point obstructing them doing their job, so it became a federal obstruction. So that's where all this started.
Literal obstruction of justice.
Yes.
That's what I don't think people understand. I think people have lost the plot there.
Mm-hmm.
Because first of all, some people are trying to argue they're not cops, they're not police. Yes, they are. Mm-hmm. Number two, they're trying to say they don't have jurisdiction. Yes, they do, because and this is something I've been trying to explain to people for a while. And people just can't seem to wrap their head around it. The reason the federal government has superseding authority over states is because the North won the war when it comes to the Civil War. If the South, because that's what it was about, is who has the ultimate authority over what a state does. Is it the state themselves or is it the federal government? And because the Union won the war, the federal government law supersedes the state law, which is literally why, even though California, this is a long time ago, but when California, it was under the Bush administration, had, I think it was just medical weed. I don't even think they had done recreational weed laws yet. But the DEA still went in and busted and seized weed. Yeah. And they were like, it's legal. And they were like, but it's not federally legal.
Right. And that's the thing. A state can make their law that it's legal, but it's still not federally legal.
It doesn't supersede the federal law.
Right.
But it can go in reverse. So federally something could be legal, and a state could turn around and make it illegal.
Yeah.
And that would be the law of the land, because you're allowed to go stricter down
yes,
the line.
You
right?
can go stricter. You can't go looser.
That's why we have exactly. That's what I'm trying to. And that's why we have like dry counties.
Yeah.
Like there's certain counties in America where you're not allowed to buy booze.
Yeah.
And they're allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't make something legal. Like they can't. Nobody in America can just make fentanyl legal. I mean, you could, but the federal government still has the authority to enforce that federal law. This seems off track, but I'm getting back to what we were talking about, which is DHS.
Yep.
We're not talking about morals and ethics, guys. We're talking about the legality of the situation. Because of the Patriot Act, DHS and ICE have every fucking right to do whatever they want across this nation. Sadly,
as long as those laws are on the book.
As a federal law.
So
they can't show up and help enforce state laws.
So you got cops that are here that are enforcing federal laws that are on the books. If you don't like the laws, then you gotta change that with your vote.
At the federal level.
Yeah, at the federal level. You got to, vote the person in, says, I'm going to change this law. You vote them in, they change the law.
Yep.
And that's the way it goes across the board. So they're here legally.
So the state's talking about charging him.
They can't.
Because he was operating federally?
He was operating federally the jurisdiction that has precedence is the government, because he's under federal law, and he's, in a federal presence that's legal for him to be there.
So he's operating outside of Minnesota's jurisdiction in regards to accountability, but he's allowed to operate within our jurisdiction geographically.
Yeah, because it's part of the United States. So
it's not a two-way street.
No, it's all under federal law. If they're able to be here federally and to conduct, these kinds of actions, and it's under federal law, they're allowed to be here. The city, the state can't tell them they can't do it.
Because they just can't. It supersedes the state
exactly.
law. Got it.
So they're here. And so the state, and I know because I saw that, Governor Walz, wanted to say, hey, we want the BCA, we want the state to do this because, the people will lose trust unless we do it this way. But you also have a governor that's calling these guys Gestapo. You got a mayor that's saying, get the F out. So it creates a problem there, at least perception-wise, that, this person is already, guilty for whatever they want to charge him with.
Right.
So doing it that way doesn't, give, the perception that it's going to be, good, that there's not going to be any bias involved. But then on the other hand, the federal government comes in, and what the federal government's going to do? They're going to go, yeah, justified. So then you have people on that side going, the federal government did this, and there was bias there. So you're in a catch-22. No matter what you do, you're going to have people screaming bias on each side. But the problem is
there any credibility to both of those arguments?
There is. There is, because, it happened in a city. And here's the problem that people aren't, and I hope these protesters really do understand what's going on.
They don't. Trust me, they don't. Or they don't care.
There's policy and procedure for the city and the county and the state. Okay, they're not going to get involved with protesters that much. If they do, it's to secure property, it's to secure officer safety and stuff like that. But their policy and procedure says that you can't do certain things. That's not the same federally. Okay,
especially for these specific agencies, these federal agents, they don't follow the same guidelines. So when you think, and maybe. This gal was thinking the same way. They're not going to do anything because they're not. Well, they're not the same cops. They have a whole different policy procedure and stuff. They don't follow what Minneapolis does, what the county does, what the state Nor
does.
do they have to.
And they don't have to. They're not. The one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to put one of these guys in danger, because they do not follow the same procedure. Right. They don't. And I feel so badly for this woman, because I'm willing to bet, 100% that she felt, I'm going to scare these people. Here's what I think. I thought that she was going to scare them. They'll jump out of the way. I'm going to take off, and they're not going to do anything. If I get pulled over, I get arrested, whatever. These aren't the same type of cops.
Right.
They don't view things in the same way.
Right.
There's going to be a different action, and I just hope these protesters understand that these federal cops don't put up with anything.
Yeah.
And if you saw kind of the stuff going on today, they were arresting protesters left and right that you would not see happen from the city, state, county.
Well, and it didn't seem like they were just arresting protesters. It did not seem like that. It seemed like, and I'm going to tell you what I thought I saw, because I'm back to work full time, so I don't have the same time to deep dive shit like I did. So I'm making snap decisions. And I might be wrong about some of this stuff, but they didn't just show up at a protest and start arresting people.
No.
They were doing their jobs, and then these protesters started showing up, surrounding these guys, if not surrounding them, creating some sort of blockade line and marching towards them.
Well, and there's...
including the one at the high school.
Right.
Like the one at the Roseville High School, all I seen is a bunch of dumbass high school kids mobbing a bunch of fucking cops.
Well,
and then these cops bear sprayed these kids. Like, yeah,
they're
dude,
federal officers that don't go by the same rules.
Here's the thing.
Don't.
People are so foolish, though. They go, they're just kids. Dude, listen to me. 2 high school kids can beat a man to death.
Yeah.
There's 30 of them. You don't know what you're talking about. If you think just because you're an adult with a badge and you have a gun, you can just safely get out of every situation, you're a fool. Look at Mogadishu.
Yeah.
Those fucking people didn't have anything. They had one rocket launcher and they took down a helicopter, and then they fucking bum rushed that helicopter. This is not reality that these people are living in. So when you say, I hope they understand, I'm saying they don't.
Well, and I hope they start to
but they
understand.
Don't care.
But there's, and I look at both sides. I can see the side that, people might, kind of get on me for this, but I can see the governor's side. I can see Jacob Frey's side. I don't agree with them with the inflammatory remarks. I think that is just completely. You don't do that. You're targeting people. You're targeting your own police officers when you do it, because people don't see the difference.
I would have been cool with that kind of rhetoric and attitude if those 2 people would have had that same attitude and energy during the pandemic and riots, and would have mobilized the National Guard, taken care of the city, and locked shit down. Then I would have been down for them to have that energy then and now, because it's like, yeah, we don't, because I don't like the federal government, dude. I'm an old school libertarian guy, like small government, fuck the feds, fuck all of that, right? Like, fuck you guys, man. We don't want your fucking money. If I ran this state, I would have gone out of my way to set our economy up to where we are not even in a position to be allowed to be extorted by the federal government or the will of the president. Oh, if you don't do what we want, we're cutting off federal funding. Fuck your federal funding. We don't fucking need it. We don't need your fucking military. We don't need your fucking DHS. We handle our own problems. But they didn't. They did the exact opposite. They enabled the rioters, or I'm sorry, they enabled the protesters.
Yep.
They emboldened the rioters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say is this. If the moment the 3rd precinct got lit on fire, if Tim Walz mobilized the National Guard and did his fucking job, we don't even have the riots. If we don't have the riots, defund the police never gets the momentum it gets. If defund the police never gets the momentum it gets, we never have the blue flu. If we never, and for people that don't know what the blue flu was, basically a bunch of cops quit. If we don't have the blue flu, the riots don't escalate, the anarchy doesn't ensue. Right? If that doesn't happen, right, we don't have a vulnerability for chaos. Now, you can also turn around and say, if Tim Walz would have done his job years ago and not turned us into, or he didn't even turn us into a sanctuary city, but he kept doing it anyways, by bringing in any
turn us into a sanctuary state. And
we were already a sanctuary city, but you're right. He turned us into a sanctuary state.
You know, and that's
but let me finish. If he doesn't do that, though, we don't bring everybody. We only bring the good people, right? But instead, we just brought everybody blindly. And because he did that, he also started protecting the illegal immigrants that were here. If he does his job and enforces the law and gets rid of the illegal immigrants, we probably don't have the level of fraud that we have. Correct. If we don't have the level of fraud we have, DHS and ICE aren't even here to begin with, and Renee Good is still alive to this day. That's what I'm getting at, brother, is that I could make a compelling argument, and I kind of just did, but I could do a better job if this was like a court of law, that Tim Walz and Jacob Frey's actions indirectly led to this woman dying today. Policies and decisions that were made years ago set off a series of unfortunate events, including that woman's bad decisions on her own, that led to her losing her life.
Well, here's who I blame. I don't blame Fry. I don't blame Walz. I don't blame, the officer. Here's who I blame. I blame these PACs that get billions of dollars from, outside, investors that are basically not even in our country, that arm these people, these agitators, to have them come here and stir shit up. And it gets everybody else involved. This is a very emotional thing that's going on. And you have these PACs that are giving them money, and you have these certain people that, it's like the hockey game where the guy starts the fight, the bench, they empty, and there's the brawl, and the guy that starts the fight crawls out from underneath the pile, skates back up, folds his hands, goes, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
And that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
That's
a great analogy.
And that's what's going on. So you have this gal here that probably doesn't understand that, we have $9 billion in fraud because
I've heard maybe 18.
And it could be more, but it's because, we are a welfare state, and welfare brings in money, and and fraud happens.
Welfare promotes leeches.
Right. And then the politicians involved in this stuff get kickbacks. So the people that are getting the money, and it's fraudulently, they're giving to their campaigns to look the other way. I mean, this stuff does happen. Right. So I blame these PACs that are sending people here to agitate, to get other good people involved in this stuff, and it's turning everybody against each other.
And as Jason would say,
terrible.
And as Jason would say, this is all just emotional manipulation, which I'm like, yeah, dude, that's conspiracy 101. Everything's emotional manipulation. Mm-hmm. You gotta come up with a better thing, but that's really what's happening. Is like a thing happens, and then bots, algorithms, and extremists inflame and fan the flames by stirring people up emotionally. People are so stirred up emotionally that I've tried to tell people, listen, man, she hit him with her car. No, she didn't. You're being fooled by bots, AI, and propaganda from your right-wing MAGA base. And I was like, I am not fucking MAGA. I can't be fooled by the right wing. Like, that's just not a thing that happens.
You're the farthest person from MAGA that I know. I'll state that.
I am MAGA in the regards of the same way I am Antifa.
Well,
okay, I'm not Antifa, but hear me out. The reason I am Antifa is because, of course, I'm anti-fascist. The reason I'm MAGA is because, of course, I want to make America great again. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I'm not Antifa in the regards to I'm going to go to a protest and actually get into a fight with a cop, because I'm not trying to die on a bullshit fucking cause. Well, it's the same reason I'm not really MAGA, because I'm not going to blindly support Trump when he says a blatant fucking lie on Twitter today. That woman viciously ran over that cop. First of all, it wasn't vicious. It might have been malicious, but it wasn't vicious. It
was malicious, yeah.
But it wasn't vicious, and she did not run him over. That did not happen. Running over, and there's the letter of the law, and then there's the spirit of the law. So we can say, ran over Jared, you're arguing semantics. No, fuck you. No. Everybody knows what it means when somebody says he ran her over with his car, or she ran him over with her car.
She hit him with the car. But
those are two different things.
But here's something
Trump lied.
But here's something that you need to know, though.
And here's the other thing. And she's not a domestic terrorist. She doesn't fit the bill of domestic terrorists. She didn't have a manifesto. She didn't attack civilians with the intent of political aim or change.
Right.
She did.
I'm gonna interrupt because I'm gonna say that yes, you have a point there because they don't know what the intent was. Okay. Now, regardless if she was stalking them all day and creating problems and stuff like that, and they find out later she was working for one of these PACs and her job was to, interfere.
She didn't attack civilians, though.
Then
terrorism is an act of committing violence or intimidation against civilians.
Right, but domestically,
for the purpose of political change, and you have to have a manifesto. Without those three things, it does not meet the criteria for terrorism or domestic terrorism.
Unless the group that was paying her, if that's the case, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But if there was her getting paid because this group was doing it and they had a manifesto and people are following that, then there might be.
She didn't attack civilians. She attacked the law enforcement. Right. It could be an act of war.
And
you could go a totally different direction
and say any way you chop it up. This is preventable. This didn't have to happen.
I'm just saying both sides are lying. That's all I'm saying. Both sides are blatantly lying through their teeth
because it's a political arena. Okay, and you have one side that's saying that this is murder because it fits the agenda. We need to take the eyes off of this fraud. Here's a perfect way to do it. Then you have the other side going, well, we're right because we're doing this operation. This person tried to run me over. As someone who's, number one, I have been dragged by somebody on a traffic stop, and they tried to put me in a telephone pole. They tried to kill me. And it was a van. So if I didn't push myself out exactly the way I did, I could have gotten underneath that van. I would have been dead.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I know what it's like to be in that kind of fear. In that moment.
In real time.
And in real time, I also had someone try to run me over.
Because that's the thing. You're not doing what I'm accusing everybody else of doing, which is Monday morning quarterbacking. Because you were a quarterback proverbially in this example.
I had this guy, thank God he made the right decision and decided to throw it in reverse when I was on top of the hood. He could have killed me.
Right.
And I could have killed him.
Yeah, so just
I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be in that situation.
Can I pause you just for a second for the listeners for context? Because we talked about this before the podcast. You were in two different versions of this scenario. You're speaking from personal experience.
Yeah, the officer got dragged by a car. I know what it's like to be dragged by a car.
Not that day. You're talking about months ago.
Yeah, this is months ago. I also know what it's like when somebody's trying to run you over with a car, and it's in winter, and it's hard to move. So I know what it's like to be in those positions, and it's not a great place to be. You're expected to make a split decision that's life or death with a limited amount of information. It's just all of a sudden it happens. And
your job is to stop criminals.
Right. For people to Monday morning quarterback and say, I would have done this, I would have done that, he should have done this or that. They don't know what they're talking about because they've never been in that position.
Right.
Trust me.
It's the same thing when somebody's never fired a gun.
Your world does this.
Right. Yeah. I've been there. I know what you're talking about.
It's a difficult, it's tragic. My stomach turns when I saw what happened. I was like, and I'm out of law enforcement now. And I'm like going, I felt horrible for that, her family, and I felt horrible for him. Why are we here? Why are we here? And again, I blame these organizations that are funding this kind of behavior.
Here's my question. It's word for word, pretend I'm your daughter or your son, and I'm a naive 19-year-old. And I'm kind of on that social justice trip.
Right.
Word for word, let's role play. Scene is your dad, I'm your son. What do you tell me to do in that situation?
Listen to the police.
What do you mean, Dad? Listen to the police.
You can fight another day.
But they're violating my rights, Dad.
You can fight another day. Here's the deal. If they do something that's illegal, detain you illegally, they just made you a millionaire.
So what, you're telling me that I should just let them violate my rights?
It's not about violating rights. It's about fighting another day, fighting it the right way. It's the same thing. You arrest somebody and it turns out to be an illegal action. The liability against it, you're going to be able to sue everybody. You win. You will win. And you get to fight another day. It's not worth losing your life over. It's just not. I get it. People don't like being pushed around. I get it. It feels like they're pushing you around. The smart people are like, yep, all right, hands behind their back. They get arrested. Next thing you know, they're in court and they're suing civilly. Yeah. And they're suing because they were falsely arrested.
Yeah. Because what I would tell my kid...
they are walking out of the bank with a lot of money.
What I would tell my kid, if you're in that exact situation, what you do is you immediately put that... As soon as that guy says, get the fuck out of the car, what I want you to do is I want you to put that vehicle in park and immediately put your hands up like this. Yep. Don't even open the door. He said get out of the car. Don't get out of the car. Just put your hands up like this. They're going to come open the door and they're going to take you out of the car. They're going to arrest you. Let them violate your rights. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. Let them do that.
Yes, then that's what I'm talking about.
Let them do all of that because we can go back and use the system against them.
Exactly.
We can sue the absolute ever-loving shit out of them. However, if you put that car in reverse, if you put that car in drive, if you do anything other than what they say, it's going to escalate and you're going to become a criminal and you will die just like that girl did. So not only would I say, yes, son, let them violate your rights, but if you are 100% correct and 100% confident that they're violating your rights, feel free to tell them. Warn them. Yeah, you want to arrest me? Okay, but just so you know, you're violating civil right, ... per the Constitution under amendment, ... Here's your civil code, ... and then let them do it. Dare them. Dare them. Well, because now you've even advised them that you know your own rights, and once they put the cuffs on that, They had checkpoints to not break the law, and they still did it. Now we can, like you said, now we can sue them, and now you're a millionaire.
No, well, and here's one thing.
Because you're alive.
And here's one thing. I remember...
If you do anything other than this, you might die. And you know what this is? You know what this is? We got cliches for this, brother. We got idioms. You fuck with the bull, you get the horns.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means, you guys? That means the horn goes in your gut and you die. Don't poke the bear. Do you know what that means, guys? That means a bear can eat you alive. Bears don't kill you and snap your neck and give you the little death roll like a crocodile or fucking shake you like a dog or a wolf. No, they pin you down and they eat your while you're still alive. That's what happened. She poked the bear.
I know, but here's the thing. If you're going to do this, folks, protesters, if you're going to do this, and you're going to use a vehicle, and I don't advise it. If you're going to do this, you know what I have in my cars?
Do you think I would have given my son good advice in that
absolutely,
situation?
100%. Do you know what I have in my cars? Take a guess what's up in the window, in the windshield. Guess what I have?
Hold on.
On both my cars.
Okay. So you were talking about protesting?
Yeah. You know what I have in my cars?
Hold on, I'm trying to guess. You said you were talking about protesting, and if you're going to use a vehicle, which I don't recommend.
No, I do not recommend.
But if you're going to, and then you said, but guess what I have in my cars? Mace?
I have cameras that record video and audio in my car. Both of them.
Duh. Oh my God, I'm so stupid, dude.
I mean,
I'm so fucking dumb.
If honestly, you know what? It's
why
either
did I go Mace, bro?
But here's what's going to happen though. It also forces you to be on the right side of things because you're recording video and audio.
And you're no longer relying on body cam.
No, and you're relying on this. You're not fumbling around with your phone and doing this. I got video and audio. So I have a record of everything. And the thing is, if you're going to be an observer, a legal observer, you better spend the $150 to plug this baby in because it protects you.
Mm-hmm.
And it also forces you to be on the right side of things. So
Only
that
if
you're not
smart.
wrong.
That's the problem, is some of these people are walking around taunting these cops and fucking with them,
right,
thinking, well, I got you on camera.
But
here's the thing. If you break the law on camera, that camera is now evidence against you.
Well, but it's
so what
only
you're
a
saying
small.
only
It's
works.
only a small portion. With my cameras, as soon as I start my car, as long as it's on, that camera is on, and I've set it up where it takes the electric and it stays on for as long as I want. Even if the car's off, it's got a battery it'll keep going. So what I'm saying is, as soon as you start your car, you've got a record of everything from start to finish, everything, and it makes people honest.
It makes smart people honest.
I'm not going to do something stupid because I'm not going to allow my own hardware.
But that's my point.
To
you're
get me
not
into
stupid.
trouble.
That's
I'm
the
not
point.
going to let my hardware get me in
though.
trouble. But if they're screwing up, if they're off, and they say, get in a car accident, this person did this, and that. I swear to God, this is what he did. And then they have somebody in their car, and I'm alone. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Really? I've got a camera here that says otherwise. Protects me.
Right.
But I'm not going to drive like a douchebag because I know it's gonna harm me.
But
if
you're
I do
also
that.
not gonna fucking have that camera on at all if you're drinking and driving, if you're smoking a blunt while you're driving, if you're doing. So this is why a lot of people don't have that shit.
But it makes me honest. If you're going to be, and I'm not talking about what she did because that was wrong.
You're talking about the protesters.
I'm talking about protesters that are, driving the cars, they're in line, and again, if this was like, oops, I was trying to turn and all of a sudden it becomes a shit show, you have a legal document there, audio and video. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to try to peel away. You don't have, I'm afraid for my life. Put it in park, put your hands up. Everything's being recorded. Audio and video.
Yeah.
You're protected. But again, like I'm saying, it's going to make you more honest. You're going to do things by the book so it doesn't harm you. It only helps you. That's why cops have body cam. Okay, the body cam stuff, when they hit that body cam, it turns on, they're on their best behavior. Guaranteed. They should be on their best behavior all the time. But specifically when that camera goes on, it's a recording of what's going on. If you're acting like a fool and they have the body camera on, all you're doing is getting yourself deeper into trouble.
This is true because the body cam was not something that was proposed or invented by the cops to help the cops. It was something that we wanted to force you guys into compliance. However, the irony here is the body cam footage, the full body cam footage, once it comes out, oftentimes proves
90% of the time
proves that the cop was
right,
doing the right thing,
and you were wrong.
Right.
But
and let's back up because there's important context to this for this situation that we're dealing with right now here in Minneapolis. When that original cell phone footage came out of George Floyd, there was 1,000 angles for long periods of time, dude, and even me, you know me, I'm extremely reasonable. I am definitely a critical thinker, and I am very patient about how I analyze things. I ask a lot of questions to make sure I have everything before I go, all right, man, here's my call. Rarely is it a snap judgment unless I'm doing it on purpose. I go, here's my snap judgment. Let's see how accurate I am once more information comes out. I do that a lot, but I also let people know. Here's my initial deal. Let's see if this pans out.
Right.
It took, what was it, a year and a half, brother, before the full body cam footage came out of when Chauvin walked up to George Floyd. And once I saw that footage, I was like, yo, George Floyd made a grip of bad decisions.
And he did because
way
he was
before
on, but
Chauvin
he was right.
Put
he
him
was
on the ground.
He was on drugs to the point where the drugs are killing him.
Yeah, but
and we know that. But and it's bad decisions. And we know that people make horrible decisions when they're on narcotics.
But again, we can't be 100% certain.
No, we can't.
That
and I'm not
just the drugs killed him.
You know, and
I'm staying away from that. What I'm saying is, once that body cam footage actually came out, it made George Floyd no longer look like a victim,
like St. George.
No, he never looked like St. George. He passed a counterfeit 20. Okay,
well, who cares?
That's how the whole thing started.
But who cares?
He was passing fraudulent money.
Yeah, but who cares?
That's a serious fucking crime.
Well, not really.
No, it literally is.
But nobody cares. It's a little place that got a 20. It's not right. You go you talk to them.
But if you take enough little 20s as a little place, it can put you under.
It could put you under.
And if you knowingly start taking bad 20s, you've actually committed a crime.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, this is my point, you guys. Either we have laws and we all obey them, or none of the laws matter because ... I feel a certain way. No. Here's the thing. We set these laws up to protect us, and that includes not allowing fraudulent currency.
Well, true. And here's what I have to say.
This dude was just randomly grabbed.
But here's what I have to say on that.
Let me just finish my rant. Once that body cam footage came out, it no longer made George Floyd look like an actual victim. It made him look like just a normal criminal. Like, no, dude, you fucked up once, then you fucked up twice, then you fucked up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, then you ended up on the ground, and it looked really bad. But once you have all the context leading up to this, if I were on that jury and I saw that full body cam footage, I would have not been able to convict. However, without that body cam footage and I was on that jury, I would have convicted. And I've been on a jury. I've done this.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to say is that you have to give it I know it's emotional, but you have to give it some time to get the full. Be patient. You have to be patient to get the full story.
Yep.
You have to. You cannot jump to conclusions, and that's why I'm really off-put by what our governor and the mayor said.
Exactly. They're jumping to decisions.
They went right to inflammatory remarks that it's causing problems.
Yep. And they did it before, and they're doing it again. And this is what I said earlier. When I watched Jacob Frey, I've said this on the podcast 1,000 times, so I apologize if you guys are tired of hearing this, but I don't think I've said this to you. But when I watched Jacob Frey get on camera and cry and say, I watched another white cop kill a black man, I looked at my wife and I went, we got to get the fuck out of here. And she went, what? And I go, the city is going to fucking burn. And she went, it'll be fine. And I go, no. And I literally told my wife, pack the fucking dogs up, pack your fucking bags, we're bailing. And we did. We left. We left for 2 nights. We went up to my parents. And I sat there and watched the news, and I watched the city burn, and I watched the riots unfold, and I felt like the biggest coward on the fucking planet. And I've never been so compelled to any cause or anything that ever happened. But I knew that I had to come home and defend my castle.
Well, and
I could not risk them coming down the road and burning my house to the ground. And I told my wife, I'm going back, and I don't care if I die. I'm not trying to be a hero, but I can't be a coward. I'm going back. And I told my wife, you can't come. You have to stay here. And she goes, if you die, I die. And she came back, and we held this fucking fort down because this was not ground zero, but this was a playground for chaos during the riots. And if you
I was there during the riots, and I was.
Where were you? Because you were. Well, let's not get too specific.
I was all over the city, but I was stationed right at Lake Street and Chicago Avenue, protecting the firefighters.
So right
put out
there.
Fires.
So right there, yeah.
And it was the stress that I went through. I mean, it was stressful, but I had a job to do. And I remember after
and you're truly protecting people too. It's not like, oh, well, I had a job to do. I got a mortgage to pay, so I'm gonna go house to house and fucking be the Gestapo. No, dude, you were literally defending other people.
Here's what really, it didn't anger me. It disappointed me so much that when I was on the line there, the people that were rioting, whatever you want to call it, you have these people that treated it like a party.
Right.
They were partying. They were.
It was anarchy.
It was anarchy, and they were having fun doing it. And I'm like, this isn't anything that's fun.
Right.
It's a
and
tragedy.
This is no longer political. This is no longer about changing the government. This is no longer about civil rights. This is
anarchy.
no longer about racism. This is fucking anarchy.
It was anarchy.
Yep.
And I really was disappointed in human nature that it took everything away from what happened that was the tragic and turned it into a circus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I remember I was driving, I was on patrol, and this person flew by me in 35-mile-an-hour zone, probably doing 60, 65. And I pulled this person over, and this person went off on me. This is why, you know, nobody trusts police. Why are you pulling me over? I'm like, going 65. Prove it. Well, come back to my squad. I'll show you the squad camera.
Yeah.
I turned off my mic. I showed her, and I showed her the miles per hour it took me to catch up with her. And she goes like, well, you know, this is just, you know, this is all racism. I'm like, no, it's not. I don't even know who you are. She goes, you know, but why are you a cop when this happens? I'm like, what else am I going to do? This is what I do. You're asking me to stop doing what I do.
And you know what's so ironic
so my
about this?
family and my, you know, financially, what else am I going to do? And we talked for probably 40 minutes. And she goes, you know, well, this happened. I go, you think I'm not mad about what happened? You know, I worked with homeless people. I worked with people that are drug addicts. I worked hard building relationships. And within 9 minutes, however you want to view it, as a murder or he was, you know, dying of an overdose, I don't care how you look at it. It took 9 minutes to destroy probably, you know, a decade of work that I put in was gone.
Right.
And it was just heartbreaking for me because I got into this business specifically to help people that needed help, that needed someone to advocate for them, that were part of the police, to be that in between, to start making things feel better. And I loved doing that. I liked helping people out. And I had people that would tell me things that they wouldn't even tell their own family because they trusted me. I built a lot of trust in the beats that I worked. And they trusted me and they talked to me. And I would help them out with as much as I can. And I had people that I had relationships with overdose and died. I had a guy die in my arms. And people don't understand, you know, the kind of, you know, feeling you get, the guilt, the sadness, you know, the depression that you get because these people count on you and you do your best. It's like having to be a strict, you know, be that dad, you know, and I would always tell them, you get glad dad or mad dad. Which one do you want? And I would always told them that. Which one do you want? Yeah, I don't want
it's
mad dad.
It's a cheesy line, but it's a good one.
But it worked, you know,
because
it's
cheesy as fuck, Brett, but it's a good one.
But they knew that I meant business. Hey, you're messing around. I'm going to take you to jail. Oh, you're all, you know, cracked out. You're doing stupid shit. You're going to jail today. Because I told you what would happen if you did this again, and I would back up what I said. So they knew, which one do you want? Glad dad or mad dad? And they always wanted glad dad, so they always respected me for that. And a lot of them, even though I took them to jail over and over and over, they weren't angry with me for doing it. And I had one guy that told me, he goes, he saved my life.
Right.
And I watched him fail over and over and over, and I kept the rest of them. I go, this is on you. It's not on me, it's on you. And this is for your own good. You don't think about it now, but you will. And I saw him. I didn't see him for a couple of years, and I saw him in a couple of years. And he was biking to work. And he had a great job. He had a wife. He had a family. And he said, what you did was save my life and give me everything that I needed to give. And I didn't do that.
Yeah.
You did that.
That's the crazy thing.
But all I did was present you with options that were better.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, and that's the crazy thing is some of these people are just simply addicted to drugs. And ironically, once they decide to go sober, jail is often the best place to do that. They get 3 square meals a day, medical care, and, well, I don't want to say access to no drugs because I guess it depends on what kind of jail you're in. It's tough to get drugs in county, right? Like, well, it's almost impossible to get drugs in county.
But they monitor them and they help them through.
Yeah, and if you want to get clean, you definitely can.
And if they're going through DTs withdrawal, they'll bring them to the hospital. They'll get what they need, methadone or some of the.
But the irony of all this is, like, you can start off with the best intentions and decide to be a cop for a great reason, and some random asshole can suddenly take people that you would consider not necessarily friends. You're not going to invite them to your wedding, but you care about these people.
Yeah.
And with no change from you, you're now their enemy because of something somebody else did. And that's tough to swallow.
Well, and it's because people they don't look at me, and I always had to defend this, and people kind of understood once they kind of saw things from a different perspective. I'm not the uniform. I'm not the other cop. I'm me.
Right.
I'm an individual. I have independent thought. I have independent feelings, and I'm not somebody else. I'm not the guy that arrested your dad, your uncle, your brother, and messed up your family. I'm not that guy. Okay, there are from
the
people,
criminal's perspective, though, you're not that. You're not any of those things because you have a code and a law that you have to follow. So you don't get to make discretionary decisions. Like, you wear that uniform, you're a replaceable face. Because I used to be a not so upstanding citizen, and I've told you this, brother. Yeah. I'm still not a fan of cops. I've said to you, and I'll say it publicly, I don't care. Cops are a necessary evil. What we currently consider cops, like your city police, all that kind of shit, that's actually, believe it or not, that was invented by the communists. That's a communist thing. The American version, the Democratic version, is the sheriff. It's an elected position.
Yeah, and that came right
you
from
you fuck up.
But yeah,
you fuck up. We just remove you. We just vote you out. The problem was, and where people like me sympathized with the left for a very long time, is the unions, dude.
Yeah.
Like you'd have a bad cop doing bad shit. The mayor would fucking fire him, or I'm sorry, the police chief would fire him, the mayor would remove him, whatever. And then the fucking union would somehow get him back on the force. And just to be clear, for people that don't understand, the original idea of defunding the police was a super reasonable idea, because the idea was this: if we can't hold you accountable like we can the sheriff by simply outvoting you, right, or voting you out, sorry, if we can't do that because you're appointed, the chief is appointed by the mayor, and the chief hires all the cops, right? But if none of those people up to the mayor can be replaced to fix this problem, the Minneapolis Police Department, ironically, is a private company that is contracted by the city to go do a job. But the union has somehow gained so much power that nobody can control this or decide who gets to be a cop. So the idea was, we should just stop cutting them a check. We should just fire the MPD. That's the answer. You fire them because they're a company and they're contracted. So we're not going to renew the contract. And what we would do is we would defund, for just the listeners that aren't watching, I'm using the quotes, we would defund the city police and give that funding over to the sheriff. Now, here's where it gets fucked. Immediately when that was discussed, St. Paul proposed the idea of replacing the sheriff department entirely and making it an appointed position, which would nullify the entire power. And this was proposed by the same people who were proposing the idea of defunding the police.
But you have to look at...
Do you understand where I'm going with this?
I do, but...
So all they would do is create the same problem, and now we have no way out. So that was where it got fucked first. And then secondly,
the number one thing that you're missing here is that infrastructure. You can't just fire everybody, 800 police officers,
right? It would have to go in phases.
It would go in phases, and expect that the sheriff is going to have 800 people overnight, to replace it. It'll never happen.
And the idea
it won't happen. It would take a decade or more to do.
And my problem is you're just going to take all these bad cops that wear blue uniforms with the Minneapolis cops, and you're just going to give them light brown uniforms with the fucking hennepin cops.
Right.
It's the same problem.
You don't get away from and here's the thing though that people aren't understanding. Again, people saw me, unless they knew me, they saw me as the uniform, not as a person. They saw me as an entity.
That's what I was getting at.
They forgot that I was a person, individual thought, and that I'm not the officer that created the problem. Or I'm not a bad cop. I'm not like these other bad cops. Right. I'm not that person. There's a lot more of me than there are them. Right. And it goes without saying, you're complaining that you don't want me to broadly paint a group the same way because one person or a few people, did something that was terrible. You don't want me to broadly paint them in the same picture, but yet you're doing it to me.
Right. Right, you're stereotyping.
It's hypocritical.
It's the hypocrisy.
It's completely hypocritical. And that's what we're going through right now is this hypocrisy that, you have ICE here and they're here to get illegal criminals. We're talking pedophiles. We're talking murders. We're talking about some bad people in your community.
Yeah,
and
really
we're not talking
people.
about, the families, you're tearing families apart. We're talking about criminals. Why would you be against that?
Yeah.
Why?
The reason you can't afford to live in this city for the last 10 years is because of this fraud.
Mm-hmm.
We went from a $17 billion surplus to a $1 billion deficit in 1 year.
Yeah.
And it ain't just because of inflation, homeboy. They're raising taxes while this is happening, and we're still short.
And again, I'm going right back to the same thing I said before.
It's fraud.
I blame these, groups, these organizations that are paying people to come here and incite to get everybody involved and pulled into something that they shouldn't be doing. It takes away individual thinking and turns it into a group think. And that's what we got to get away from. You have to have individual thought. You do. Cops, even though they work as a group, they work as a group, but they have independent thought. And you can't, collectively put people in this group. And that's where you have all these protesters that are screaming at these ICE officers, spitting on them and throwing stuff at them. What did they do? They're not a group. They're not that person. It's like they're treating them as the one person that they have angst over.
And the crazy thing
you
is
that back up.
They're literally trying to remove people who are not allowed to be here. And not only are they not allowed to be here, they're stealing from us.
They're criminals.
They're pedophiles.
Yeah.
And yes, mistakes will be made, but this is what happens when you don't handle a problem and nip it in the bud young. This is what happens when you allow a problem to escalate to this level. You have to make sweeping movements to fix it. Mistakes will be made.
Oh, absolutely.
And those mistakes should and probably will be rectified because, again, this is still America. As weird as it's getting, it's still America,
and
man.
Coming from the police world.
Yes, there's lots of innocent people still behind bars.
Right.
I totally get it.
And the thing that worked better
and
for
none
me
of them should be.
Is that I didn't come into police work when I was 21 years old and had this, way of thinking in my mind that stayed the same and was ingrained in me. I became a cop when I was in my, early to mid 40s. When I've had a lot of experience in life.
So basically my age.
Yes. And I had all this experience.
You weren't some gung-ho, fresh out of the military, 26-year-old kid.
I spent
jacked up on PTSD.
Right. I had spent 17 years of my life becoming a police officer after I had all these experiences. And I'm glad that I had service industry. I was a bartender, I was a waiter. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to, de-escalate problems. I learned how to work with people. I learned how to turn things around. I learned how to make the best out of a bad situation and come out with the best possible outcome. I learned all these things. And I learned how to be compassionate. So when I became a cop and started going through this, and I saw a lot of people that just they looked at me again as a uniform and they didn't want to see the real me. And my whole goal is I'm going to change that person's thinking because I'm going to see them every day. And I did. Mm-hmm. And some of them I changed, some of them I didn't, but they knew me. They knew me. They got to know me. And to me, I felt that I did change a lot of, ways of thinking, but they also changed my way of thinking too. I had to be able to look at both sides of the coin and come in the middle. I had to do it.
That's what she said.
But the thing is, that's what I did.
No, and I always heard from the good cops I knew back in the day, is there's your version of the story, there's their version of the story, and then there's the truth. Right? Like nobody's ever seeing it from the middle. That's literally what cops are trained to do is like find the truth within these two bullshit versions of, or I shouldn't say bullshit, these two distorted, biased versions of the story. Right. And that's one of the things that I always got lucky with is when I would talk to cops, I'd be like, listen, I know what you're doing. Okay. Like I know there's my version, there's his version, and then there's the truth.
Right.
What I'm saying is my version is way closer to the truth because I'm literally telling you what actually happened to the best of my knowledge. That motherfucker's lying. Like that's the difference. And that's why whenever I would get into fights, I never got arrested. Like whether I won the fight or lost the fight, I never went to jail for a fight. Not fucking once. Because I was like, look, here's what went down, man. And I was also never the aggressor or any of that shit. When I would get pulled over and fucking cops would try to fucking trick me into bullshitting and fucking lying, you know what I'm talking about because cops do that. It just never worked.
Some can.
I was super reasonable but very assertive, and I was not an agreeable person. Whether I was getting pulled over for a ticket, where are you going? I'm not telling you where the fuck I'm going, dude. I'm not discussing my day with you. What do you want? What did you pull me over for? I'm like kind of an asshole, but super reasonable. Oh, why are you so hostile? I'm not, dude. I'm irritated. You pulled me over. What did I do wrong? Am I free to leave? No. You're being detained. Okay, what am I being detained for? Oh, okay, well, I got you on ... Okay, cool. Are you going to give me a ticket? Am I free to leave? Like that kind of shit. You know what I mean? I'm just like, dude, come on. Like,
and a lot of
do you have
times,
any drugs in the car? No.
But a lot of times, when I ask somebody where they're going, it's not because, I'm trying to discern, that they did something wrong. They already did. That's why I'm pulling them over.
Right.
But I would ask where you're going. I want to know how far you have to go. 2 blocks down the road. All right. Next time, don't blow the stop sign. Yeah. Have a nice day.
Yeah. I'm just taking the ticket and getting out of there. I'll take this blown stop sign ticket. I'm not doing this thing with you guys. I just,
and the whole thing, it's like, do you have a history? And that's why it's like, all right, you're going 2 blocks down the road. I go on down there, and there's a history. There is 3 pages of this person blowing stop signs, fleeing the police, and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, all right, this isn't a mistake. You do this. Right. So that changes the thing. Right. It's a person that has a clean record or a somewhat clean record. I didn't see the stop sign. I'm going 2 blocks this way. All right. Pay attention so you don't get in an accident and hurt somebody.
Yeah, so you're super cool and super reasonable, but there's just so many asshole cops,
That's because I'm fat and old.
Or it's because you entered the job later in life.
I did,
where you lived a real normal life,
and I always looked at it. I got pulled over by cops, and some cops were not kind to me, and there was a lot of cops that were. And I thought to myself, you want
to be the
glad guy. I'm going to be a cop, and I'm going to be the polar opposite of you, because you're kind of
you want to be the glad
dad,
dad,
and I want to be glad dad. I want to be able to instill trust. And that's what I remember telling somebody once that they got into a pickle because they did some stupid stuff, and they said, well, it's bullshit. And I kind of went, well, if you don't like what they're doing or how they did things with you, become a cop and be the change. Get elected.
That's that Gandhi quote. That's that Gandhi quote. Be the change you want to see in the world. But the problem is Gandhi was a piece of shit.
Well, I'm not, but I'm talking about, be proactive and stuff. Instead of complaining about it, that it's bullshit, then be the change. Go into politics, go into your civil service, and you don't have to be state. You could be local, county, get on a board, start being the change that you want.
I'll tell you something. It's funny you say that. I worked with this woman one time that used to be in small government, civil government. Like she ran a bunch of small towns. She moved all throughout the state her whole life. She was like 60 years old. I worked with her at a bank. And she wrote a book on small government and how to do it. Right. Like if you want to run for office, here's how you do it. And it literally was all the way up to governor. That's how much she had worked in this career. It's fucking pretty impressive. She gave me a free copy of it. And she goes, I'm going to tell you, though, here's the thing. If you actually want to do it, not only is it going to be the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life or in 10 lifetimes, yep. She goes, the only way you'll do it or even be remotely successful, and I'm not just talking getting elected. She's like making something actually happen. She goes, you have to be really pissed off about something. And I went, what? And she goes, the level of motivation it takes, the only thing I've ever seen is anger. If you're inspired, that dies.
Well,
like you'll get disenfranchised. Like you have to be super pissed off about something and then go after that as if your life is on the line or your children's life. Or if you have that level of passion or higher, that's the only type of person that this works for or ever works in the system.
Well, and that's
how intense you got to be, bro.
But you have to look at it
Nothing's pissed me off that much ever.
I know, but you still have to step back from that anger and look at it from
you have to be reasonable.
You have to be reasonable.
But she's just talking about why would you do this? You can't do it because you just don't like that guy. Oh, well, he sucks. I'd rather do it. No, that's not going to work. You're going to fail. Like, that's not enough. Because what you have to go through to get shit done, including winning, but after winning, getting shit done, it's got to be the level of intense passion you have to have. She goes, something has to truly piss you off to your core. And you have to treat it like your life is on the line, and then maybe you have a shot at getting it done.
Well, and the thing is,
I felt like it was the most real advice I had ever gotten in my life from anybody.
And here's the beautiful thing about the United States. We live in a democratic republic. So you can get into office, you can be that change. We're not a communist country. We're not a socialist country.
And we're also not an aristocracy. You don't have to be from a certain class or a certain family.
So when... and the agitators that come in and their sole purpose is to sow distrust and violence and this other stuff, that comes from a communism, platform. Don't fall into, if you're going to protest, peacefully protest, make your voice sounded, be that change. Get people that are in office, if you don't want to be in office, get them to see your side. And they're not going to see your side when you're promoting violence, when you're doing violent things, when you get caught up in these agitators that come in and all they're there is to sow chaos that makes your platform illegitimate.
Yeah.
Don't let them do it. And I'm watching on TV, I'm watching these protesters at the federal building, and they're pushing, touching cameras in the face, spitting, and they all get arrested. These are federal police officers that do not give two shits about the policy and procedure of Minneapolis, the state, or the county. They don't care. They have their own policy. You fuck with them, they are going to arrest you. They don't care. They're going to grab you. You're going to go to jail. And now it's federal. Now you get to go see a federal judge and not the county judge. Federal judges, they have a completely different way of looking at things. You are getting yourself in trouble. You have a rude awakening coming. Don't let them do it. Don't let them, these agitators put you in a position where now you have a felony, and now you're a felon.
And for people,
you lose your job, your house, your family, all this stuff.
If somebody wants something to God, what is he talking about? What he's referring to or alluding to, and I don't even know if you know this word. You probably do, but you guys should Google. And Will, you can pull this up, but I'm not going to spend time deep diving this on the podcast. It's just a waste of time. This is something that people should do, after the podcast or whatever. But it's called Agents Provocateur.
Yeah.
And it's bad actors, shady people at all possible levels. So it could be some crazy left-wing or right-wing militia. It could be some fucking extremist religious group. It could be the fucking FBI. It could be literally agents provocateur and bad actors can be anybody. But what they do is they insert themselves into something like a peaceful protest and cause an actual riot. They escalate things, or they put themselves, and we have these things metaphorically that are happening online as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just people that intentionally get there for nefarious reasons,
right,
to stir the pot because they benefit and or profit from the chaos.
Right. And
they have something they want.
Right. And these
need.
groups that we don't even know are very fully funded, that are coming here to do this. It delegitimizes the people that are there for a reason because they want change. It makes them look like the bad actors.
Yeah.
Don't let them do it.
Yeah.
And don't let your emotion get the best of you. You know, there's ways of doing this in a way that legitimizes your feelings. It legitimizes your story, and it legitimizes what you want to do. And the beautiful thing about living in a democratic republic is that you have, you know, your First Amendment right. Don't let a bad actor turn that, you know, your First Amendment right into a crime.
Which part of the First Amendment are you referring to?
The freedom of speech and
expression.
Your expression, your freedom of speech, that you can protest peacefully, that you speak your mind.
Because there's a lot of things, just for anybody's like, what is Jared asking that question for? Because there's a lot of things covered under the First Amendment. Most of the rights we have are in the First Amendment.
Right. And if you do it right, then the Fourth Amendment
the First Amendment
doesn't come into
there's
play.
There's like 6 or 7 things it says. It's like freedom of expression. It's not freedom of speech. It's freedom of expression because, and it's important that they use the word expression because expression is more than speech.
Yep.
Separation of church and state.
Yep. Freedom of speech, they're the press, right of the people to peacefully assemble.
This is a dumbed down version. You got to get the real one because it's not freedom of speech. It's freedom of expression, and that matters because that's how we got into music and art, and including spending money on politics because your spending of your money, and I don't agree with this one, but the Supreme Court ruled that per the First Amendment, spending money is freedom of expression. Right. We can't tell people where they can and cannot spend their money, and that's how we have so much money in politics. And I don't agree with that one, but that's how they got away with it is all I'm saying. But yeah, there's a bunch of them right there. Freedom of assembly, peaceful assembly. Go to the top. Yeah, Amendment 1. Establishment of religion, prohibiting the free exercise thereof, abridging freedom of speech. See, this one's still dumbed down. It's freedom of expression is what it actually says, or of the press, the right of the people to peaceably assemble, which is protest, and petition the government for readdress of grievances. That's most of our rights right there. Yeah. And then the rest of them are really restricting the government from doing shit.
Right.
So starting with number 2, you can't take the guns. Number 3, you can't come in my house during war unless I let you in. And that's specifically because that's what the British used to do. They would just show up, take your fucking house, and they starved people, they fucking killed people, they raped people. It was fucking crazy what the British were doing. And then same thing, by the right of the people to secure their person. So by Amendment 4, you get back into privacy.
Right, but Amendment 4 talks about search and seizure.
Buddy? I don't even have shoes on.
But it specifically talks about seizure and stopping someone. You're not free to leave. That's a seizure.
Correct.
So don't let someone turn your First Amendment right into a legal seizure of your person.
That's why
which happened with this woman in her car. She went from her First Amendment right, getting that taken away, and allowing the federal police, the feds there, to seize her under Fourth Amendment by prohibiting their actions, creating an obstruction. It made it a Fourth Amendment right for them to stop her. So then everything she did after that is against her.
So that makes me think about those,
and that's what just saddens me.
So for a good legal defense for those, when those protests and roadblocks are happening, and you're like trying to come down the highway, and all of a sudden there's a crowd surrounding your vehicle, and you like try to get out of there, and you run 3 people over, and they're like, "You tried to kill those people." It's like, no, you tried to forcibly detain me. you literally tried to fucking prevent me from being a free person. That at that point, if I'm a lawyer, I'm going hard in the paint on that. I'm hammering that argument from every possible analogy.
And for people to understand, it's one thing that people surround their vehicle and they're screaming and yelling. It's one thing if they're smashing your vehicle.
The moment they strike your vehicle,
even then, it's not even there yet. The moment that they try to pull you out of your vehicle, smash your windows and get at you.
If the window gets cracked.
Anything where they are trying to pull you out of the car, now you have a reasonable idea that they're going to kill me.
But here's my point. If I simply don't allow you to leave my house tonight, like you go to try to walk up the stairs and I just stand in front of you.
That's false imprisonment.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not kidnapping.
That's what I'm saying. Well, those are kind of the same thing.
No, they're not, because kidnapping would be, now, if you don't let me...
I took you somewhere?
No. Now, if I'm in the house and I'm at the front door and I'm like, I want to leave, and you lock the door and say you're not going anywhere, and then you and your buddy grab me and you take me from the front door and you transport me to another part of the house, now it's kidnapping.
Okay. So, again, if people surround your car and they don't allow you to freely travel in a public place, that's false.
It could be
right?
it could be viewed at false imprisonment, but that could be the problem.
I would hammer that. If I'm a lawyer, I'm hammering that so hard.
Here's the problem. The problem is your Fourth Amendment rights when you're in a car, they're limited because the car can move from area to area
until there's 100 people surrounding it.
Yeah, well, that's all in precedence. That's all been talked about, that your Fourth Amendment rights. And that's why cops can pull you over for an infraction.
Which one should I smoke?
And they can seize you.
Oh, the Monte Cristo?
Oh, absolutely.
I love Monte Cristo.
So, I mean, when people say, I know my rights, man, you really do need to know your rights. And because you think you know doesn't mean you know them.
Do you have a regular cutter over there?
I got a V-cut.
Will, do I have a regular cutter down here? Oh, I do. I got one right here.
So, and that's why I feel so badly, because if this woman just, when they came together, all she had to do was just stop.
Right.
And when people said this is a legal observer and they murdered her, they're failing to see
now let me use your V-cut.
What her culpability was in on this. Did she create the furtherance of a problem here for what she did?
How do I use this?
But right here.
What the fuck? I pressed that like 17 times.
You got to pull it down.
Oh, you pull. Oh, yeah. I'm stupid.
But, did her actions facilitate a problem? And I think a lot of people, they don't want to see it. It's kind of like having cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
That you're just, no matter what the truth is, you can't see the truth. Doesn't align with your beliefs or what you believe in. But that's the thing, is there culpability on both sides? Yes, always. There's always some culpability on both sides. But what was the factor that created this officer to shoot her? That's what people have to look at.
It's once she moved her car forward.
Forward, right? Yeah. And, and a reasonable officer believing that he's in danger. And, this guy got dragged by a car in Minneapolis back in June. Is it reasonable for him to think that he's about to get run over?
So, final question, and then we can move on.
And people can think, I'm not going to take one side or the other. I just want people to logically think about both sides of the coin, so they can come up with their own conclusion, of what's right and wrong, and try not to be biased.
I don't think most people are thinking of both sides.
I know a lot of people aren't. And for me,
they're thinking of one side, and they're only seeing it from that side, and they are projecting what they think should have happened from the other person.
Right. And it's Monday morning quarterbacking. And again, unless you are in front of a vehicle afraid it's going to run you over, you don't know what it feels like. You don't know what goes on in your brain. You can look at a video and say, this is what they should have done, but you weren't in their shoes. You weren't there looking at a car coming at you. They don't know whether it's right or wrong. Again, I'm not taking sides. You still have to look at both sides of the coin and come up with a conclusion based upon that, and not knee-jerk reaction going to something like we saw two of our politicians do and created more, havoc in what's going on.
Yeah, except I don't think people are going to riot this time, man. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what my opinion is on this. I think, and this is possibly going to piss some people off, and I don't really give a fuck if this pisses you off. If this pisses you off, you're just doing exactly the opposite of what he just fucking said. So remove your emotions. Take all emotion. I want you guys to just try to be computers. Just be a computer and just fucking do the math. Here's the reality why people will not riot this time. Number one, it's the winter.
Yep.
It's cold. Number two, it's not a situation where everybody's cooped up, hot summer,
yep,
stifling heat. There's not unemployment coming in. People have jobs. People are back to work. People have responsibilities. People have lives. So there's not going to be as many people that can organically push any version of a vigil or a protest. It's just there's not going to be enough bodies. And here's the part that's going to piss people off. She was white. So there's no racism argument to be made here, right? So now, and this is kind of what I'm getting at. Here's a great analogy. It's a little steep, but bear with me. That argument I made earlier about whether she's a domestic terrorist or not, to define a domestic terrorist, I believe it's like defining a gang member or there's like a checklist, and you have to have 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5 or whatever it is.
In all honesty, I don't believe it's domestic terrorism.
No. I don't want to get off track, but here's what I'm saying. I don't think there's enough things on the checklist to create a riot. Right. And one of those things is the fact that she's white. People don't riot when white people are killed. It just doesn't happen.
Well, and there's enough there for people to look at and go, yeah, the tires were straight. She did kick it down. The guy was in front. The officer was in front. And I'll tell you from experience, after my 2 experiences that could have killed me, the last thing I'm going to do is step in front of a vehicle when somebody's irrational.
That was my final question, and then we can move on.
I'm not going to do it.
Are you comfortable answering this question? You can say, I'm not comfortable with that, and then we can just move on regardless. If you are comfortable, then cool, answer it. No hypotheticals, no versions of it, no, well, here's what I would have done instead. No. I want you to literally be the cop that was in the spot. Would you have done exactly what he did or no? I don't want another version. It's would you, because Monday morning quarterback this, because you were a quarterback. Yeah. Would you have done exactly what he did or no? I don't want another version because that's too easy.
Right. I honestly can't say because I wasn't in his shoes. I didn't see what he was seeing at the time. And again,
is that an unreasonable question?
It's not an unreasonable question, but it's an impossible question to answer.
Got it.
Because I'm not in his shoes. I don't know what he was feeling. I can assume.
But you were a cop, so if you're not comfortable
I can only talk about what I felt when I was in front of a car.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yes. And I felt in horrible danger. And I was ready to pull the trigger. And thank God I didn't. Thank God he was smart enough to put it in reverse and back out, so I wasn't forced to do that. But if he would have pressed forward, I would have shot because he would have killed me.
And just for context,
I was in
if they put it in reverse, just to put this into context, if they put it in reverse, the law enforcement logic is, are you guys kind of equating to this to like, he's not trying to kill you, he's just fleeing.
He's trying to get away.
Therefore, it's the equivalent of what, shooting a guy in the back while he's running away?
Yeah, as he's back and he backed out, I'm like, all right, we're good. Whew, thank God.
As far as lethal force goes.
Right.
He's still going to be pursued. He's still going to get arrested.
If he backed up to give distance so he could get a running start to run me over, whole different situation. Now we take a look at the situation here where she backed up and then went forward. That's a different situation.
Makes a lot. You've explained this 3 times, but I'm just now seeing the importance of
And when you watch the video and you see those front tires spinning to get some speed, she hit the gas hard. So,
and cops are really trained on this stuff.
And I'm going to let people come up with their own, answer to that question. Because I can't say yes, I would do this or that.
This is a great cigar,
isn't it good?
This is even better than the first one.
Yeah, but yeah,
this is a phenomenal cigar, dude.
Yeah, those Monte Cristos are good.
I love Monte Cristos. One of my favorites is the Platinum.
Yeah,
just a simple Habano.
This one I think is my favorite. But again, I can't answer the question. But I implore people.
And if you can't answer that question, you need to stop acting like you can answer the question. You're an IT guy. You've never fired a gun. You've never even been in a fight. You've never been in fear for your life. You've never thought you were about to die. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Shut the fuck up. If he's not willing to do that, you're not allowed to do it. That's the point. He can Monday morning quarterback this, and he's still not willing to. So shut the fuck up.
And to end this,
and that's what I said. And then we can move on.
Yeah. To end on this note, I implore people. I really do. I implore
to shut
people
the fuck up.
to actually look at what happened with an open mind and say
from every angle,
and
put yourself in everybody's shoes.
And it's a horrible thing that happened, but you cannot expect, back it up in Florida at somebody and not expect that something bad's going to happen. If you're not complying,
yeah.
And there's somebody in front of the vehicle, what? I just don't understand.
I've heard enough. Will, are you convinced?
So, I'm just I just hope that something out from
Will, are you convinced?
I'm
sold.
Out of all this, I just hope that people have to understand that ICE is here to take bad people off the streets.
That's at least the intent.
That's the intent.
But here is the truth, and this is another idiom. I love quoting these cliches. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, man.
Absolutely. To keep people honest is one thing, but to insert yourself into something that can put you in danger, that's something else. And people need to understand that your actions can also dictate what happens. You're just as culpable as the other person if you instigate or bring the level up. You have culpability as well. Don't fall into that trap.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
The smarter thing to do, but this is the problem, is these people aren't smart. They're not logical. They're not calculated. They're very emotional, right? As my buddy would say, and I'm not going to name him because I don't want to call him out and make him I don't want to ostracize him, but one of my buddies says, they act like women. Even the men, they act like they make impulse emotional decisions. Yeah. The logical and smart, wise decision would be to give them all the rope they need. And I'm talking about if you're the victim, and I'm talking about the cops, you give the cops all the rope they need to hang themselves.
Yeah.
Give it to them. Let them violate your rights. Record it. Document it. Request the body cam footage. Let them arrest you. Go to jail. Be a real martyr.
And that's the whole thing.
Martyr.
You get to fight another day. You're still alive. There is absolutely no reason why she had to die. And again, she has culpability in this. There's no reason for that. Don't put yourself in this situation. Why? What life? I mean, you have kids. You have a wife. She had a wife.
Do you think she was a paid protester?
I'm willing to, I'm assuming, but from my experience, I would think that she probably was, or if she wasn't,
it's totally plausible that she just moved here.
Yeah, it's plausible.
It's totally realistic that she just moved here and didn't get to have her plates changed, and and that's totally on the table.
And she may have felt like she was doing the moral thing, the right thing. Again, they're taking criminals off the street. You don't want them there.
It's equally plausible she was paid to come here and do this.
Don't put yourself in a situation that you can get hurt. Don't.
Here's the final thing I want to say. on this before we move on, and I got to take a piss. So, Will, I want you to get ready to play one of the tracks. Play the Closer Now, my song, the Rivalry Dude. Here's my final thing. If my wife was in that woman's shoes and exactly what went down, I would be so fucking mad at my wife. I would be more mad at my wife than I am at DHS or ICE.
Yep.
I would be fucking furious that and this is not my wife. My wife would never do this because my wife is not dumb. But I'm saying if my wife was that person, so I'm not talking about my wife. I'm saying if I was married to that woman, I would be so fucking furious that my wife was so dumb and so arrogant that she went and lost her life defending illegal immigrants that are ripping this state off and left me with 3 kids. Do you know how fucking irresponsible she was?
Yeah, I don't.
She's got bigger fucking fish to fry, and those are called her children.
I know, and I don't disagree.
I
don't.
Fucking,
and here's
I would
the
not
thing.
feel bad for my wife at all, is what I'm saying. I would hate my wife at that point. I would resent my wife. And I'm not saying I'm righteous or a good person. I'm not saying I made the right decision. I'm saying that's what my emotions would dictate. You dumb fucking bitch. You got yourself killed for some fucking Somalians that are ripping us off.
Well, it's not even that.
I'm saying that's how I would feel.
But here's the problem. People are saying she was fearing for her life. How? It's daylight.
You put yourself in that situation.
There are, dozens of people watching as witnesses. Your life is not, in danger.
You put yourself in that danger.
You put yourself there. Why?
You poked the bear.
Why?
You poked the bear, bitch.
And you can say, on the other side, did it have to be aggressive? Well, we don't know, because then there's another story about this person allegedly was stalking them and causing problems throughout the whole day, and they just had it. They're done.
This is the equivalent.
We're arresting her now because we're done. People have to wait for everything to come out.
This is the equivalent
but losing
of me
your life.
Walking up and slapping prime Mike Tyson in the face, and then him hitting me back and hitting me so hard I die. And then people are like, wow, Mike Tyson's a real asshole. Like, no.
Yeah.
No. No, Jared walked up and slapped him, and he reacted as any normal human being would do so.
Yeah,
and then he died. Yeah. Like, don't slap Mike Tyson. Don't fuck with something that can kill you unless you're ready and willing to die.
Well, again, people have to look at both sides and then come up with their own conclusion. I'm imploring people not to look at just one side. Look at both sides. It is what it is. If you believe that this is murder, that's your opinion. I have my own opinion, but I see both sides, and we'll see what happens here. And I'll just leave it at that.
That's what people need to say is we'll see what happens. The problem is you can't really trust the government anymore.
Well, and you can't.
I can't trust. It's same reason I can't trust the state when they go, we inspected those things and those daycare centers, and they were all operating as expected. So we investigated ourselves and we found no wrongdoing. Like, bro, come on.
And that's the whole thing. People just have to step back and let things happen, and then you can come up with a qualified, decision on what you feel and think. So right now, I'm just before I come up with an opinion on this, I'm waiting for everything to come out. I don't want to say this person is wrong and that person was wrong.
I will give people my snap judgment.
There is culpability on both sides.
I will do
who's
that.
More culpable?
To be honest, I will do that.
Yeah,
I will give people my snap judgment, but I'm totally willing to change that theory later.
Yeah,
once I get more information,
and that's where I'm at. I'm looking to see what happened. I have
my snap judgment is she was in the wrong.
Yeah, and I have an idea, a good idea after what I've seen. Who's right and wrong, but we all have decisions that we make that culminate up to that. Which decision was worse than the other one? And that's that's how you have to look at things. We have two people at fault here right now.
Sure.
And that's the way
There's
it is
always two people
until everything comes out and you have everybody arguing over who's going to be, doing the investigation. I'm stepping back and I'm going, I have an idea after what I've seen, being a police officer and having to investigate stuff. I have an opinion, but I'm not going to go with that opinion until I see everything, because something could come out that will,
and I'll change
everything.
Yeah,
so
and I'll change my opinion.
I'm not going to blame anybody. It's a tragedy, and we're dealing with it.
Let's take a break. I got to piss, and then let's come back, and I want to talk about how your podcast is going.
All right. Sounds good.
Ready? Got to piss?
Oh, revolution without dancing is a revolution not worth having.
Well, I'm glad we didn't. Right? Like
Yeah.
I'm glad we kept the train rolling.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I'm super excited for what you guys have been doing. I think you guys have been making some pretty good decisions, and
I think so too.
It's easy to not make good decisions. It's easy to try to, swing for the fences. We want to hit home runs, but one thing I really appreciated through watching this whole thing kind of evolve is, when we would have those little conversations where I'm like, yeah, dude, don't worry about that. Focus on this. Yep. And the best example I can give without giving too much away is we were talking about subscribers and views.
Right.
And I said, no, stop. You can't control subscribers and views.
Right.
Focus on watch time.
Right.
Do this. And the reason I'm being so cryptic is because I'm sick of giving people advice because no one fucking listens. And I'm actually genuinely offended by it most of the time. Like, it really pisses me off. You guys did listen, though.
Well,
and every time, the thing that I appreciated more than anything is you would try it and you'd come back and you'd go, fuck, you were right, dude. That totally worked.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, dude, I know. And everybody's going to go, Jared, if you know everything, how come you're not more successful? Because I don't have fucking time to do the things I'm giving you guys advice to do. I'm only one fucking guy. I don't have the fucking team that it takes to do these things,
Right.
Whether it's making clips or it's, a different length clip or changing the type of clip or the format of the clip or the ratio, the aspect ratio for this. Like, I know hopefully you're not on TikTok, but if you are on TikTok.
No, not on TikTok.
Like learning how a TikTok clip, a TikTok short needs to be edited differently than an Instagram reel. Even if they're both 13 seconds, it needs to be a different vibe.
Right.
Shit like that. And you listened and you tried it and it immediately worked. And I'm like, yeah, dude, that's what I'm trying to get my fucking guys to do, But
well,
it's just time and experience.
Right. And the thing is, when we started,
you're just perfectly in the right place to do the things that you need to do.
I think we were in the right place in the right time,
exactly.
too.
Exactly.
When I came into this venture, I didn't look at it as this is my venture. We're doing it my way or the highway. You guys are going to be here for the ride. I didn't do that. I said, we're doing this together. So it's me, Gene, Patrick, and Stacy. We're doing this together. So we started talking about how we can do things. And we had some tough conversations, and then we had some good conversations. So every conversation we had was to make us better at what we do. And on the very first podcast we did, it wasn't, I kept, we just put out the full podcast. It was on YouTube, but it wasn't promoted and it was very under the table. I was still a police officer at the same time, and I was looking at this as kind of a hobby. Let's see how these things go. And as we did more and more stuff, we got better and better. So when it came time to retire, I wasn't putting this thing out for the general public. This was very within my circle to keep it there. So we didn't, we had, a few thousand views until I retired. So there wasn't a whole lot. I think we had maybe a couple thousand views. That was it. I wasn't putting much out to the general public. This was, me learning how to do this stuff. So when I did retire, I went, you know what? I'm putting everything out there. And I had everything put out. I had my shorts. I had my mid-length stuff. I purposely had everything ready to roll. So when I retired, the day I retired, I put it out. And that was literally 4 months ago. So we went from, I believe it was like 3,000 views to right now on YouTube, 105,000 views in less than 4 months. And if I look at all the socials, we're at 165,000 views. Our watch time hours on YouTube, we're a third of the way there
where you need to be,
where we need to be. We're just looking at,
and again, those metrics don't matter. What you want to focus on is that average watch time. Mm-hmm. In a podcast space like what you and I have, anything over, well, really, it's anything over 8 minutes, but anything over 10 minutes, if you're up around 12 minutes, that's insane.
And for
the
our
algorithm loves that.
And for our long videos, we're way above that. We have people that'll watch and then they come back and finish.
Yeah.
So we're getting
That's
a lot of
huge.
views.
That's
and our
what's
shorts
important.
are just banging. I mean, we're getting, 1,000 views, and we had Rudy Pavich on, and one of the shorts that we put out with him on it got like 3,700 views, and it was like that. So we're building and building and building. And we went from 40 in 4 months from 40 subscribers. And that primarily got in the first couple of podcasts we did, we got about 40 to we're at 100, I believe 105 now within 4 months. So it's building. It is really building. And, we want people to see this. And that's why the shorts are so important, because people look, they swipe away. And the more that I'm putting out, all of a sudden one day they're like, I'll watch it. And they'll watch it. And I go, oh, this is pretty good. Boom, subscribe.
Yep.
And that's how we started getting those subscribers, because they saw the stuff coming across their feed and they kept swiping. And one day they watched it and said, I want to see more. And then they're watching more. And all of a sudden I'm looking at all these other older shorts, and all of a sudden, boom, they're starting to pick up.
Yep.
So I think we found through a little bit of trial and error, with your help on direction, but through trial and error, we really found the method that we need that really works for this podcast.
And in order for you to go to the next layer, the number one thing and the only thing you guys need to be focused on is consistency.
Yeah, and that's where.
So you have to, and it is imperative you do this. And I don't care how you accomplish this. But if your listeners and viewers expect a podcast every Friday night or every Saturday night or every Sunday morning or every Tuesday afternoon, that fucking podcast better goddamn be there.
Yep.
And if somebody needs to take a fucking vacation because they got to take 2 weeks off, this is what's great about your podcast is you have an ensemble. Yep. So one guy can be gone.
Right.
Right now, if you need to take a vacation, you're fucked.
Right.
So what you guys have to do
is front load.
Yep. That's exactly the word for it. You got to do 2 or 3 in advance, get one brutal weekend out of the way. It fucking sucks. But now you got 3 weeks worth of content. Now you can go on vacation. It's not a big deal. If you do that and you do it for another year or two, you're going to blow past me and everybody else that is struggling, because you're going to have the full package of everything you need to do, from consistent episodes releasing on the same day every week to clips. And what I mean by clips are like 20-minute versions of your hour or 3-hour podcast, to shorts, which everybody knows what shorts are, reels, fucking every other thing you can do around that. And everything about marketing on the internet and getting people to go consume your digital content is about a consistent, slow drip.
Right.
And if you fuck that up like I did, because you got to get a new job and your schedule changes, or, blah, 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 it's not good. It will borderline kill your channel.
And we're lucky because we've got people that enjoy it. And I was putting out, over our Christmas break, I was putting out the 12 to 15 minutes clips and taking a short off of that. And we were successful. I got even more subscribers from that, but people were enjoying a little bit more some of the content that we're doing. Now, we've got Nick Davis coming on in a couple of weeks, and we've got
93X.
Yeah, we got Wally Joseph and his daughter Josie coming up on this week.
They'll be great.
And so we've got some really good people coming, and we're working on some content. We're getting better and better people that are coming on. And I shouldn't say better, because the stories
you mean bigger,
and, more known. But it's great because the people that we've had
or
on,
more current or whatever.
Yeah, people, names that people know. A lot of people know. But we haven't had a bad guest on. We've always had guests that have great stories to tell. And that was one of the things that we wanted to do with At the Bar With podcast, is to tailor, a bar setting where we're kicking back, we're having a drink, and we're just shooting the shit with people that have stories. And I think one of the best podcasts that we had was a husband and wife team. They're fishermen. And Colin and Lisa came on, and Colin was a crime scene cleanup guy. And Lisa, she was worked in the farming industry, and they both were successful in their own right. And they got married and said, we want to open up a resort, fishing resort, and take people out fishing. And they had some of the best stories, the fishing stories. It was fun, and it was great.
That sounds amazing.
Right. It was amazing. It was just, people that wouldn't know them, but the stories were great. And that's what I like about this podcast is the people that we have on have great stories. Fantastic stories. They're fun, they're funny, they're informative, and there's some stories. We had a guy named Tony Kamana Johnson, drummer for GB Layton, talked about his story. He was adopted, finding his adoptive parents, and how he went through this. And there was kind of a struggle with finding his father, and he found his father, and then the family didn't want the father to find out that he had this kid that's out there, and they kind of blocked it and what he's been going through. So, I mean,
Jeez.
Just incredible stories. So I'm so happy that we got this venture, and the four of us, it's the perfect combination of people, that makes it so good, so informative, so much fun. It doesn't even feel like, I look forward every week to doing this podcast because I get to do it with the three people in my life that matter the most, and I get to have fun with them, and we get to talk to people. And when we don't have guests, we sit down and talk. We had the holiday special, the crappy holiday special, and that was one of the most watched ones when you were take a look at like the shorts and the clips, and people loved it. So it's been a great adventure. We have 28 full-length, podcast videos, and I keep looking forward to more and more. And it's going to be great. And I know within the next couple of years, it's going to be where we need it to be. A lot of thanks to you to help me put up the hardware side.
No problem.
And that was a big deal because I came into this not knowing anything, and you're looking at my setup going, well, I don't know this setup, but it should work in this manner. And then it was trial and error. We use this equipment, didn't work, use that equipment. And then you're like, whoa, this Roland VR4 HD would work perfect. The 6 HD is better, but start out with this one. I started out with that. We outgrew it.
Right away.
So, I got that.
And that's
6
what
HD,
that was. I remember
you told
the very first thing I told you was, have you ever had fish? And you were like, no. And I was like, okay, this probably isn't going to resonate with you, but I don't know a better analogy for this. There's a rule in when people get into fish.
Yep.
Literally go out of your way to buy the biggest possible fish tank you can, because you will outgrow your beginner tank.
Yep.
Like, it's just a thing. So, like, the smartest thing you could do is start off with like a 75 or 100 gallon tank. And I mean this from a financial aspect, because there's very little places to outgrow a 75 or 100 gallon tank.
But and we talked about it. Remember when we taled, you were like going, well, you can start out with the crappy stuff,
but you're gonna upgrade.
You're gonna have to keep upgrading. And I'm like, screw it. We're gonna go with what the most we can afford. And it was great because I have a wife that said, go for it.
Yep.
This is what you want to do. Let's do it.
Yep.
And she became part of the podcast. I wanted her on there. And
I got to figure out a better way to get that point across.
Yeah.
So that analogy works if you owned fish. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't work if you never own fish, because you just don't get it until you're in it. And then you're like, oh, fuck, I see what he was saying now. Like, no, because what we were talking about is the other one, the four. The four, it's like, we can make this work, but it's not set up to do what you want to do.
Right.
And I don't want to get too into the technical weeds, because a lot of people they'll hit snooze, right? Like, they'll fall asleep. But the idea was, there's workarounds we can do to make this thing work, but what you really want is this. But you're not going to like the price point on that.
Right. Well, and we eventually went to it
pulled the trigger,
because it started moving in the direction where people were like, wow, this is a great podcast. It looks professional. I mean, my editing, it's kind of choppy, but
the cameras are good.
The cameras are good.
The lighting's good.
The fact that
the audio is great, and that's what matters the most.
Yep.
And this is, if anybody wants to start a podcast, the number one priority has to be the audio quality. And that's something that we slipped on for a long time as I was training in new producers, because I'm not doing the same level of micromanaging that I used to. I'm trying to be a better leader, trying to delegate, give these guys some autonomy, let them fucking take some pride in their work, you know? Yeah. And I think we're starting to dial it in. I think just last podcast and this podcast, our audio is going to be better than it has been over the last 20, 30, 40 podcasts.
Well, it sounds great. I mean, your audio does sound great. And,
it depends on the episode you watch.
Right, and that's what I started doing. I started dialing in that audio to get it
number one.
Where it needed to be. And
number
then
two,
I fixed the cameras right
once you do
that.
cameras, number two, more important than the quality of cameras is the lighting in the room and the angles of the cameras.
And we just
shitty camera with good lighting is better than a great camera with bad lighting.
Right. And the beautiful thing is, we have this bar setup. The base, I mean, you've been there. I mean, for a studio, it is one of the greatest, studios that was there. I mean, I looked at it when I thought about doing the podcast. I'm like, wow, I could pull off a pretty good podcast. And that's when I went to Patrick Olson from 93X, who's in California.
I love Patrick.
Huge shout out to Patrick, because
Patrick's an old friend. Him and I aren't getting along right now, but someday we'll get over it. He's still my buddy. I still love him.
I called Patrick up and said, hey, I have this idea. And he goes,
I still love you, Patrick.
He goes, in your basement. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I'm in. Because he knew that setup would be so good. So I went out and I bought a TV just to have him on the TV, and we bought all this hardware and fit it together, and it took a little bit of time, but once I got it and I got the frustration out, it was frustrating.
That was the second thing I told you. The second thing I told you is you're going to want to kill yourself, like metaphorically speaking. Like this is going to be one of the most irritating, frustrating things you'll ever do.
Because I was so frustrated. I'm happy that Stacy, Patrick, and Gene, took a step back and let me vent my frustration until we got it to a point where now it works. It's not flawless, but it works so much better.
Remember when I told you there's going to be a night where you're going to fucking be ready to quit because nothing seems to be working correctly? And I was just like, that's totally normal and you need to be prepared for it. And you were like, I'll be fine, dude. And then it happened.
But the thing is, I have good people doing this.
The reason I say
the reason why I kept doing it is because I got good people.
The reason I say it in such a mocking tone is because I went through this, right? Like I know the evolution of this, and it's surprisingly hard to do a podcast at any level. And I'm not even talking about being successful. I'm just talking about making one happen and then doing it past 8 episodes.
Right.
Like the vast majority of podcasts don't do 8 episodes. They do 7, and then that's it. They're done. They get burnt out right away. It's too much work. It's too hard. They're not getting enough views. That's the hurdle. Yeah. The hurdle is 7 podcasts.
Right.
Once you do 8, you're probably going to keep doing it.
And we're at 29 now, full length, and we have 250 plus videos. And on all our socials, and we work together as a team, and it works. Again, it's like being in a band.
It kind of is in your situation. It's not for me.
Yeah, it's kind of like being in a band. We don't always.
Yours is the ensemble vibe is. Yep.
So we have to work together well, but we do. We end up working through stuff and making it better, and it's becoming a love that I like doing. I love seeing Patrick every week. I love my wife and Patrick that have this great back and forth that makes it fun. I'm glad that Stacy's there because the guy is so smart. I mean, genius level smart, and has great things to say.
I have
such great things to say. He brings a lot to it.
I've only met and hung out with Stacy 2 or 3 times now.
He's phenomenal.
It was that one night when you introduced us. He came over to your place. I got to meet him and whatever. And then you guys did this podcast. And then I went out and hung out with you guys that night again.
Yeah.
So there's 3. And I love that. He already has a special place in my heart.
Well,
like, and he's just such a unique person.
Right. And that's
he's
the
a
plus.
truly unique person.
I've
never met
like
anybody
him.
like Stacy.
And there's nobody like Stacy, or Patrick for that matter, or my wife. But the way
There's
that
700 million people like Patrick. I'm just kidding.
No, but the way that we interact with each other and the guest is phenomenal. I couldn't have picked a better cast to do this podcast with. I couldn't have. It fell into place, and I'm lucky. I'm so lucky to have people. Have people doing that, and I'm hoping that.
So, what is the name of your podcast where people can go?
It's called At the Bar With Podcast, and we are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and we have a Facebook page. We have a page on X. I have Instagram under B-Man City MN, and my Facebook page is Schuck Norris.
Yeah.
It's a nickname I got when I was a cop from my captain. But they're successful. We get a lot of views, and we got a lot of people that are saying that they love it. Don Anger, who is a KQ92 DJ, we did the podcast with him, and he's like, "This is awesome." He really loved it, and we're going to have him on as a guest host to do this from time to time, because he was such a great guest to have on, and I hope that your subscribers, the people that watch, that'll come in and take a look at what we've got, because it is special. You've got almost like this journalistic podcast where you talk about stuff. It reminds me of like when you watch TV and you see some of these journal style podcasts, but it's on TV.
Interesting.
And I love it because you have that kind of, the questions that you talk about, the topics that you talk about reminds me of that, and I love that kind of stuff.
I'm just trying to hang out with people.
And it's down and
I'm a
dirty
terrible
and
interviewer.
gritty, and it's like the local person wants to watch this and they have fun doing it, and so I wanted to take something like that to Minnesota people, Minnesota voices, people with stories, and have them tell us their story, and it's working out, and I couldn't be happier. I really couldn't be.
If I ever come on as an official guest, there's one part of my life, there's one group of stories that I've never even told on my own podcast.
And you got stories. You got a lot.
That would be actually, and it has nothing to do with music. It leads into how I became a musician, but it has fuck all to do with music. But it's probably, maybe the most interesting part of my life.
Well, you're like a jack of all trades. I mean, you play guitar. You're an incredible drummer. You're an incredible guitar player.
I'm mid, but thank you.
You're not.
You are not. I'm pretty mid, but
dude,
thank you.
I've been in professional rock bands. I've been around rock stars. I've seen and done a lot of stuff, and even my wife is like, the music that you've put out, that you've actually even written and done, the things that you do, are so much above, the average person. You're not average. You're far more than.
I think I'm pretty mid, but thank you.
I don't think so. Because
I'm not trying to do false humility here. Will knows. Will and I have talked. Will, back me up on this. How many times have I called myself mid?
A bunch of times.
Yeah. In private, like I'm not doing this because the cameras are on. I legitimately think I'm mid, but thank you, dude. I'll
I
take
told
the
you this before. It reminds me of David Grohl from the Foo Fighters that. Produced an album just by himself. He did everything, and then he put the band around it. And
except he's good at singing.
He's very good at singing. But in the same kind of context, that you have all these multiple, things that you do, but you don't do shitty guitar. You don't do shitty drums. You don't,
unless it's a bad
day. But
I am a jack of all trades unless it's a bad day. Then I'm a hack of all trades.
But what pisses me off, what really pisses me off, and I should say piss me off, I'm like one of these guys going, oh, fuck. That you do it better than most people. And,
well, thank you, brother.
Thank you. I'm a pretty good hack guitarist. If you want technical, you're not going to get technical.
Sure.
But what you're going to get some
You'll hold it
solid.
down.
But I hold it down
and
it sounds good. And
I'll take 10 of you all day over one flashy guy who I can't rein in.
Yep.
And just honor the song.
Right. And like the beginning, or the song that we had at the beginning of our podcast when we started out, I had to come up with something that we could do that wasn't copyrighted. So I have a studio in my basement, and I put together, a 3-minute song, and then I cut it down. It started out 30 seconds, and cut it down to 20, and then down to 10, and kind of figured out
now
what
it should be about 4.
Right now but
it should be about 4 seconds,
but
maybe 8.
But one of our guests, Dave Gorman, that plays in a local band, cover band, I asked him
to Steve Gorman.
No, he's not. Okay. Steve Gorman's a good musician as well. But I asked him, and he's got his setup all done, and I go, hey, can you come up with a song that's kind of an Irish barish theme? Because, the rock and roll, the kind of stuff that's at the beginning, it was good to start with. But I want something, and we did some AI stuff and for the beginning, and he came up with the perfect intro. So Dave Gorman, thank you. For the people out there that go, hey, well, this is a cool intro. That's Dave Gorman. That he's
shout out to Dave Gorman. Yeah. By the way, Dave Gorman, just simply because you made the intro music for their podcast, if you want to come on my podcast, totally welcome. Honestly, anybody that goes on your podcast has an open invite to my podcast. If you guys want to come on, hang out with me, you don't have to smoke cigars, you don't have to drink beer. We can chill, we can drink coffee, we can be completely. This doesn't have to be. This doesn't have to be this. We're doing this because this is what Brett and I are into.
But I mean, it was great. So, and we started formulating stuff, and then we had the stupid story of the week that we had Patrick do it. Now he does a video stupid story of the week. So we'll play a video and talk about that, and it's great. There's some really dumb stuff that are out there that
an endless supply
like you wouldn't believe. And and then one of our relatives, Johnny, came up with this AI program that he's written, and I mean, the guy's a genius. And hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers that he'll allow me to be a beta tester, and it'll help me with the editing, stitching, does the AI stuff. We're also talking, Patrick's got a friend that does a lot of great AI stuff. As soon as I'm able to kind of employ that person to help us with our intro and outro stuff, and then I can do kind of the stuff in the middle. So things are falling into place. We're really starting to really get more professional, and we're just booming. It's great. I couldn't believe that we're at 105,000 views in 4 months. People are like, you're kidding, right? That's just on one platform.
Yeah.
If I add all the platforms, we're at 165,000 right now in 4 months.
That's not bad.
So not bad.
It's not bad.
We're getting people to show up, and people will get more people to subscribe, and
all you got to do is just stay consistent with the content. That's the most important thing at this point. Like, just now that you've got some momentum, do not try to hit cruise control. If anything, what you do is you put the pedal to the metal. And I know you're not capable because of jobs and schedules, and you got an ensemble cast, and you're not monetized. I get it. You can't go full time.
Right, and we'll get there little by little.
But the end game has to be, not only are you doing one podcast a week, preferably you're doing 2 to 5 podcasts a week. Mm-hmm. But that can only happen after you've monetized and people also, because you're an ensemble, have the ability to either quit or modify their jobs, which means you have to monetize this thing to a high level.
You're right.
But we're talking, I just told you how to get to Everest, right? Like that's Everest. That's the tip. But right now you guys are still at first level or second level base camp, right? And it's a long journey. The hardest journey are the first 2-3 steps. The music analogy that I learned from Rich and Wally, and Wally's coming on your podcast.
Yep.
I think I don't know if I heard this from Rich, Wally, or Bill Berry, who was their manager back then. But it's something that resonated with me and it motivated me, which is the hardest hurdle you'll ever climb in the music industry is 0 to 500 fans. And what they meant by that is consistently getting 500 people to come to your show.
Right.
So, and that's in every town, right? So your goal is to be able to draw 500 people to see your band headline a show in town X.
Right.
And then do that again in town Y, W, QRS, all the way up, right? That's your job. If you're smart, you do all of those things simultaneously. So every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, you're young, you don't have a super good job,
right?
You got a little flexibility, you're pounding the pavement, you're manipulating social media, you're building buzz, you're putting out audio and video content, you're playing local shows in all these towns across the entire Midwest, because that's where we're from. If you're up and down the East Coast, if you're along the West, whatever, do your job. It's about consistency.
Right.
It's about just consistently doing this thing over and over again and climbing that first hurdle of 0 to 500 fans.
Right.
I'm not 100% certain what that number is for what we're doing, but the analogy is still there, and it's probably 0 to 1,000.
Yep.
On YouTube, specifically 0 to 1,000 subscribers, and then 0 to 4,000 watch hours per rolling calendar year.
Right.
So it's super convoluted. It's a hard number to hit.
Yeah.
But what you do, and this is where I was telling you, is don't focus on your views. That's irrelevant.
Right.
Don't focus on your subs. You can't control that.
Right.
But what you can control is your watch time.
Yep.
So you can start rehashing the same content by
Yep.
shortening it and putting more content out.
And that's what I'm doing right now.
Without doing more podcasts.
Right.
And it's working.
And it is working. I'm getting more subscribers just from doing that. So we're learning as we go, but we've come a long way since last May, night and day. And I think we're becoming more professional. We're getting more people that are happy with what they see. They're sticking with us, and that's what's important. That's what's great. And we're having fun with it. And that's the one thing
that's
I want to do.
the only thing that really matters.
The only thing that matters is that
you
it's
have to
fun.
enjoy it. You have to have fun.
God, we love it.
Don't pander. And the final piece of advice I'll give to anybody starting a podcast is do not create a podcast that you think other people want to watch.
Right.
Create a podcast that you have fun doing, and then just wait and do all the things I'm saying, or I'm saying he's doing. Jesus Christ. Do all the things we're talking about that he is doing, that I'm suggesting, and in time, you will cultivate a fan base that enjoys what you do.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
how you find
and
success.
that's the way I looked at it. I know we had started out with a 2-year plan. We know it's going to be a marathon. It's not going to be a sprint, and everyone knows that
it's an ultra marathon.
Yeah, you might have a viral moment here and there, but for the most part, because it's so saturated, people don't just all of a sudden become the next viral thing. You know, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know how to put things out, what time to put things out. The long view needs to be at a certain time. The clip's got to be a certain time, a certain day. The short's got to be a certain time.
And you're not talking about going viral.
No, to get the most views that you can at that time. This isn't viral. This is to hit the people at the right time, because you have different viewers. They're going to watch YouTube. It'll come across their feed at a certain time, and we're trying to hit those people during those peak times. And it's working. It's really working. I went from, 15 views on a short to, 2,000 views on a short. One of our views, 3,700 views. They're getting more and more and more because people are getting used to the content coming out, and they're actually watching it now. Where they didn't really watch it before, they're watching it now. And we're
the more
building.
they watch it, the more the algorithm pushes it to more people.
Right.
And if it's actually good content, because you can fake it, right? You can force the algorithm at the beginning, but if it's not actually good, it won't keep going. And if it doesn't keep going, the algorithm drops it.
Right.
And once the algorithm drops it, it's dead in the water.
Right.
So the only way that thing picks back up again is two things. Either A, something else of yours picks up steam
And then the algorithm goes, well, people like this podcast. Let's see if we can regurgitate old shit, and maybe something old picks up again.
Right. And that's why I'm taking a lot of these different ones and I'm doing 12 to 15 minute clips from some of the old stuff and putting it back out.
Right. The only other way it happens is if a third party grabs your content and reacts to it.
Right.
It's the only other way this happens.
Right.
Outside of going viral. And going viral is something that is almost impossible to do intentionally organically.
Right.
So like the Hawk Tua girl.
Yeah. And look where she's at now.
That they didn't farm Hawk Tua.
No.
The guys. Okay, and she ended up reaping more benefits than they did.
She was smart. That's why. She was smart.
She wasn't. People,
yeah. I'm saying
there's
her
people
as
that
a brand.
There's people that swarmed her and told her what to do. She's an idiot. But
I'm talking about as a brand.
She's an idiot. People told her what to do.
As a brand,
She gets no credit for any of this. She was drunk.
Yep.
What happened was the guys were out there farming content,
Yep.
and they caught something and figured out, hey, if we edit this and put this out there the correct way, this is going to be a great clip.
Right.
There was more than one girl that night, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
that said Hawk 2 and spit on that thing. No, I'm serious. If you watch the full version of that night,
I
there's
don't
like
doubt that,
6 girls that said that. But for some reason, she's the one that literally, Will, see if you can pull this up. This is probably going to be a shitty clip to pull up because, yeah, it's like a 20-minute thing. I actually don't even pull it up, dude, because it's a shitty. We're not going to watch and filter through this. But there's like 6 girls, maybe not 6. It might be 3. I don't know. But there's definitely not one.
Right.
That said, oh, what was the question? It was like, what's a crazy move you do in the bed to blow a guy's mind?
Yeah.
There was more than one girl that said, Hawk 2 and spit on that thing.
Yeah.
But for some reason, she went viral.
But because she was drunk and it just it clicked, And one of our
and the guys that made that clip didn't get anywhere close to as famous as she got.
did. Yeah.
That's my point. That's my point about going viral. It's almost impossible to go intentionally organically viral. Because if you're doing it intentionally organic, you're the one that reaps the benefit off of an organic moment because you intentionally edited that properly to go viral. The moment was organic. They were intentional, but they didn't reap any of the benefits.
Right.
She did.
And that's like, one of our best clips was like towards the beginning. I think it was off of our 14th episode, Dad's Toe. That clip it was so organic and it just went boom. That's what really put us on the map where people started watching. And it was a friend of Stacy's whose dad had passed away and he kept his dad's toe.
What a weird fucking
weird.
thing.
I mean, if you're able to throw that up, it's hilarious. Because,
can you find this clip?
It's under At the Bar with Podcast, Dad's Toe. And it's hilarious because it's so organic. Because he's like, I don't know, he just, took his dad's toe, and it was yeah, that's it.
Not on the speakers. Make sure it's coming through the headphones.
But that was the defining moment. That one clip was the one that everyone loved, and they still view it, still getting views, and it's been a while. But that clip kind of made me think, okay, this is what people want to see, this organic, fun thing. And it was good. So short and sweet, but it was hilarious.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So you chop up, and there should be a 20-minute version of that where that happens either at the beginning or at the end, and then one of the last things I told you is, one of the sneaky things to do to making good clips is you need to kind of piss people off at the end. So you got to cut the story off before the actual
the CEO,
culmination. You got to leave you got to blue ball guys, right? Like we're men, so this makes sense. But you got to leave a guy with blue balls. So they go, "What the fuck? I want to hear the end of that." And then you go, "God damn it!" And then you're like, "What was I?" You bring it to the beginning, and then you're looking at the bottom, and you're going, "What's the name of this podcast?" Oh, it's At the Bar With. Hold on, and then you click that, and then you go to the fucking thing, and then you search that episode, and you're going through their fucking webpage, and you're like, "I got to find this episode," and you're irritated, and you're pissed off. But all of this is interaction with your channel that says, "Oh wow, not only is this a clip that is working." But people are genuinely interested in this content because they're going to this YouTube page, they're looking through the content, and they're searching out something. This is something people want to engage with. We should push this out to a wider audience.
Right.
So it's this self-fulfilling prophecy. That's what this is. And that's what I've been struggling with because I don't have fucking time to do this all on my own. Oh, shit. Will, I need paper towels. Thank you, brother.
And so I started looking for stuff that people could relate with. As a police officer, years ago when I first started, we pulled over a vehicle on a traffic stop, and it was like watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Windows roll down, and the smoke is coming out. You can smell the weed. And, I'm on
Did you just tell me this story the other day when we were on the phone?
Maybe, yeah. And I'm standing there at the passenger side, and my partner's on the driver's side, and the driver, he goes, what seems to be the problem, officer? Bloodshot eyes, stoned. And
Straight out of Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, and the guy on the passenger side, his shirt is out like this, and he's sitting there, and I'm like,
he's got a bong in
I'm like going, what is that?
It was
and I
a
looked
bong,
doing down.
wasn't
it was a red, I could see the red end of the bong, and I could see the bong down there. And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, it's Big Red. So I have a short on that. We're like going Big Red. It's like, it's the name of the bong. I'm like, what are
That's
you guys
what it was. I think
doing?
I seen this. I think I seen this clip.
Like,
I think
what
that's
are you
what
guys doing? It's like, well, we're the guy's wife was having a hard labor, and she wasn't happy, so they took him out to get him high so he would relax because he had so much anxiety. And here they are smoking in this car with a 4-foot red bong. And we confiscated the bong and said, you can come back and get it. It was so funny that we had to let him go. We understood the problem, and he had this big, he had this mason jar that was full of weed, and we had to take his weed, and they were like all bummed out. I'm like, what's better than going to jail? And that's when marijuana was not, smoking in your car was you're going to jail.
I mean, it's still technically illegal, right?
But they were.
By the way, what is the official discretion on that for a passenger?
Well,
do you treat it like booze?
Yeah, the passenger can have it. If they're smoking in the car, well, you can't do that. And it depends on, the level of kind of what we call intoxication, or the level of, the response. I mean, if they're so high they can't operate the vehicle, it's a different story. But, in this case, these guys had just smoked. They weren't super stoned, but it was the funniest thing as an officer. It's one of the funniest stories that I have that I went through. And we followed them back to the hospital. Have a nice day, guys. Good luck. Never seen him. The bong never left.
You don't want to arrest a
no,
guy
we're not
while his
arresting
child's
while
being born.
Yeah,
Come
you don't
man.
do that.
And
it was so funny that I couldn't even keep a straight face. I was laughing so hard. It's like I can't. And my partner's like, we can't arrest these guys, but they'll go back to the hospital or we'll confiscate this.
You were confident the driver wasn't super big.
Yeah, they were 2 blocks away, so we just followed them back, and that was the end of that. But it was so funny. That it's one of those times where when people ask me what's kind of the funniest thing that it's ever happened, as a police officer, and there's like people that shit themselves, and I mean there's all sorts of different stuff that's hilarious. But this was the funniest thing because this guy's wife wasn't happy, and he's trying to hide this bong in his shirt, and it just didn't work. It's
What's
like,
the most
what are you
awkward
doing?
thing you ever went through?
I believe. I mean, there was a guy and a gal in a car getting it on, and the wife GPS'd his phone because he was with another girl, and she called the police. She called us to come because if she confronted him, she would hurt everyone. So we had to go there, and she's pacing back and forth, screaming, and he's like, and the girl's like, "You're married?" And it was literally a Jerry Springer episode that we had. And we're like, "Dude, you've done messed up," you know. And she just used that iPhone thing where find my iPhone. She found him and then called us so she wouldn't hurt him, because she was like, "You better get here soon because I'm gonna kill him." And so we got there soon, and it was. I felt bad for the guy. I felt really bad because now he's like on his hands and knees begging her not to leave him, and the other girl's like ready to. The girls weren't going to fight each other. They were going to beat the snot out of him, and he was a big dude, and he was like, "Please, guys, you got to protect me. You got to." He's like this. Put me in protective custody.
Have you ever seen the show The Rookie?
Yes.
Do you like it? Do you think it's a good cop show?
I do. I think it's awesome.
Me and my wife love it.
It's Hollywood.
Me and my wife
but it's fun.
Fucking love that show. I feel like it's obviously, like you kind of said, it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
But I also feel like they go out of their way in that show to really talk about procedure and ethics and rules of engagement.
Right.
And I feel like it's one of the most transparent, honest depictions of what the ideal cop should be.
Well, and that's
I don't think it's realistic at all.
Right. And
I
the
think it's
reason
very
why I relate
idealistic.
to it is because this guy became a cop as a rookie
At 40.
At 40, and so did I.
So you were the rookie.
I
They
was
made that
the
show
rookie.
about you. That show's secretly
close.
about
yeah,
you.
pretty close.
Secretly, we can't actually admit this, but I'm going to just call him out. Brett Schuck collects royalties on that show because it's actually about him.
I should, yeah. But it's a fun show, and I do like it.
I love that show. I fucking think, honestly, it's getting a little cheesy now that it's later in its life cycle.
Well, yeah, because it always goes that way.
Right,
but I watched
right.
it. It's and it's inaugural season, and I loved it. I'm like, yeah, this is good. This is a good one.
There was something you just brought up, which is why I brought up The Rookie, because I had a second question. I fucking already forgot it. What were we talking about 10 seconds ago before I brought up The Rookie? What did you say?
Oh, the awkward moment, and the guy pleading with me, going, take me to, he wanted us to take us into.
Oh yes, so there's this one specific episode of The Rookie where there was a moment where what's his name, Nolan, shows up to this house, and it's this big guy, and they got called there for domestic violence.
Yep.
So they assume
It was
the guy's the aggressor because he's a huge guy, and Officer Nolan even sees the saran wrap under his sweatsuit, so he's like, "Oh, you must be trying to lose weight."
Yep.
Later in that episode, they get called back, and they approach him thinking he's the aggressor, and while they're there, this dude's like he appears to be. They make him look like he's 6'5", 270 pounds, this mass of a human being. And this little tiny 5'3" girl jumps on his back and stabs this motherfucker in the neck. And literally the guy dies. And the cops in this idealistic show were like, oh my God, we just assumed he was the bad guy. And like, we had no idea. And that, I feel like that's a super realistic scenario. Whereas like some of these women, and that's what you were talking about, is he's like, please arrest me because they're going to murder me. Like,
and he's like, put me in protective custody.
Some
and
of
we're
these
like,
women
we
are
don't do that.
fucking way more dangerous than guys.
Well, and this is
'cause
inner
they're
city
tiny
stuff.
and they're cute. They're tiny, cute little women. They got a big booty. You think they're just fucking? They're a chick. No, that's a human being that wants to kill somebody.
Yeah, I told the guy, I go, you're dumb. because you brought your phone. Your wife is inventive, and what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't help myself. Well, you you're going to need to get your stuff out of the house and go to a hotel or your buddy's house, and that's kind of what happened. She said, "You go to the house now," and the other girl had to jump on the bus, and it was awkward. It was so awkward.
I don't know if I've ever told this story on the podcast, but my come to Jesus moment with a cop was I had a violent girlfriend who attacked me one day, and I restrained her and sat her down on the couch. And so what had happened was she called the cops, tried to call the cops first, right?
Yep.
No, I'm sorry. I tried to call the cops first. Yeah. I gotta make sure I tell the story right. Otherwise, it's gonna sound like bullshit. Because it was a long time ago. I tried to call the cops. She grabbed my phone out of my hand and threw it against the wall. But this was back in the day when we had like Android phones where the batteries were detachable.
Yep.
So when she threw my phone, I had dropped my phone so many times, my phone easily fell apart.
Yeah.
Like any impact, my battery just fell off. So when she threw my phone like a girl, yes, I'm being chauvinistic. When she threw my phone like a girl up against the wall, my battery just popped out and it fell on the bed. And I grabbed the phone and put it back together. And I'm like, you fucking crazy bitch. And then she attacked me again. So I restrained her, and then I called the cops. And while I was calling the cops, she's like, fuck you, I'm calling the cops. So I grabbed her phone, and I remember it because I grabbed it with my left hand, and I can't even throw with my left hand. I'm right-handed. And I threw it against the wall just to do the same thing she did. But her phone hadn't been dropped 1,000 times. So her screen shattered.
Oh, no.
Right? So I call the cops. I get the cops on the line, and I'm like, yo, my girlfriend's attacking me, and if you don't get here, I'm going to have to defend myself, and either she's going to kill me or I'm going to hurt her. So get here as fast as you possibly can. The cops get there. She gets there first. She runs out and gets to them before I get to them. Convinces them I strangled her. I already admitted that I restrained her and got her on the couch.
Yeah.
I let her go to call the cops, and that's when she attacked me again. Point being is, because I did admit that I threw her phone against the wall, even though I was already calling 911,
Yep.
she tried to call, and I was being petty. So I threw her phone call. I interrupted a 911 phone call.
Yep. Gross
Felony
misdemeanor.
number 1.
Well, it's a gross misdemeanor.
Well, they charged me with felony. Number 2, she accused me of strangulation. Second felony. They charged me with 2 felonies. Back then it was felonies. Might be gross misdemeanor now. But back then when it happened, they charged me with 2 felonies. They arrested me. Sorry, I was never charged. I never got charged. I was arrested on 2 felony charges.
Right.
I never even went to court because once the prosecutors actually listened to my 911 phone call, they just dropped the charges. Yeah. Like I was out of jail right away, proverbial speaking. I was actually in there for 3 days because I got arrested on a Friday night. Or no, I'm sorry, I got arrested on a Friday night.
Yep.
The day you get arrested doesn't count. Saturday and Sunday, or Saturday counts, Sunday doesn't count. And then I got out Monday.
Yep.
So when you do, you know what I'm trying to say.
I
Like
know.
there's hours that they count. And so like I was in there for
3648 rules.
Yeah, I was in there for 3 days, but Sunday doesn't count and the day you get arrested doesn't count. So I was only in there for 24, right? Like that's how you guys look at. Anyways, I didn't get charged. I committed no crimes, but she manipulated that situation so crazy over the top that I went to jail. And sitting in actual county, and because I was charged with 2 felonies, or arrested on 2 felonies, I did not go to normal quad. I went to the quad with the rapists, the pedophiles, and the murderers. And I was suffering from such bad anxiety from this because I did not do anything wrong. I was a real person who was in that very rare legal situation where wrong place, wrong time, wrong person, blah, 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 blah. Oh, my God. Point being is I got sick.
Yeah.
My immune system broke down, adrenaline pumping. I got legitimately sick. And so I requested, I guess you would call it medical assistance. I really didn't. I was just like, I can't be in this space. I'm freaking out. And so they sat me down in the hall outside of my quad. And they were like, what's going on? And there was this super cool cop. Like you had explained yourself earlier. I had a guy like that. And I explained to him my situation. And he goes, listen, man, your story sounds like bullshit. We've heard your story 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
And it's always a lie. However, if this is true, you need to listen to me very carefully. You need to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Because that woman is going to ruin your life and you will end up in prison. Because even though I just said it's always a lie, there's 1% of you that actually are telling the truth. If you're in that 1%, listen to me very carefully, Jared. Change your life and get the fuck away from that woman. And I remember being sick, like shivering, like, and I looked up at him and I was like, I'm already making my plan.
Yeah.
I'm
And
already
look at
planning
where
my
you're at
escape.
now.
Yeah. I'm happily married. However, anytime I apply for a really good job where they run a criminal background check, that arrest record still comes up. And I cannot get that arrest record expunged because I was never charged with a crime. Therefore, I never appeared in front of a judge. Therefore, I cannot get a court order to go back to the police department to remove that arrest record. So every time I apply for a job, a good job, this crazy ex-girlfriend from literally 15 years ago still negatively affects my life, my marriage, and my career.
Wow.
Don't fucking... I don't care how hot she is. If she's... I don't care if she gives up the butt. If she's fucking crazy, it's not worth it. She could potentially ruin your life. He was right. He saved my life. That's what you did for that one guy you were talking about earlier. Yeah. I had that guy. I had that come to Jesus moment. It doesn't matter how hot, because she was hot, dude. Yeah. She was so hot. No, dude. Dangerous. Unhealthy.
And the thing is, it's unhealthy. It's not good for you. It's not good for her, no matter what the problems are.
I was very good for her. I was the best thing that ever happened to that bitch. That can't be said for all my ex-girlfriends, but that crazy bitch, she really missed out.
Well, you're in a better spot now.
I wouldn't have met my wife if it wasn't for that crazy cunt either, though. Like, because that crazy bitch that I'm talking about was the first time I went, I'm better than this. I deserve more than this. I want stability and health. Mm-hmm. And I changed everything about my life. I stopped fucking with certain people, got out of certain groups, stopped drinking at the same level. You know what I mean? Like, just really started looking at, like, wow, man.
Well,
a lot of small bad decisions can lead up to a catastrophic life change.
Right. Well, you were smart enough to know that the relationship wasn't good for you, and you got out and you found the right one.
That was only because one cop was being like, listen, dude, if you're telling me the truth right now, here's how you fix this. Yeah. And I was like, I looked up, I remember this. I could barely fucking focus. And I was like, I'm already making my plan, brother. And then literally 6 hours later, I was out.
And there's a lot of people that go through problems within relationships like that and move on to, better things. They have a healthier life on both sides. So, it's good that you were smart enough to see that and make the changes, because a lot of people don't make the changes.
It was that classic cliche of, like, allowing other people to influence me emotionally to negatively impact my life.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I got to stop allowing my emotions to make decisions for me. I need to be a calculator. I need to be a computer. I gotta be cold.
Well, not
And now
necessarily
people-
cold. It just means that you have to do things that are good for you. And the awareness is the most important thing.
Maybe cold wasn't the right decision or the right verbiage, but
And I've gone through a lot of stuff as a police officer in inner city where, people had the same kind of dynamic and stayed together, and it just got worse and worse. And, ends up with people in jail for long periods of time. So
now that you're not doing cop stuff, now that you're not being a fascist tyrant, I'm just kidding, brother. Outside of podcasting, like, what do you do in your off time now to occupy your time? You hunt, you fish, you fucking, other than smoking cigars. Like, what's your deal? What's your vibe?
Right now, just music is still a kind of a thing. I spend more time at home with the wife, and I enjoy that. I enjoy the home life. And I remember years ago, it was like I didn't like being at home. You go out and hang out with your friends and stuff like that, and I'm a different person than I was when I was in my 20s. Late 20s, where you wanted to be around your friends and hang out, and every night was like kind of a party, hanging out, going to the bars, watching the bands, being in a band, playing in a band, stuff like that. I one day kind of came to the conclusion that I got to do something different. Became a bartender, and I was bartending, doing that stuff, and that was still late nights. Yeah, and it was late nights and stuff like that didn't work for me. I needed to do something else. And luckily for me, I had a wife that was behind me 100% on doing something different. And I remember I took a ride along with a friend of mine, and I took a ride along with my brother, and I just remember going, yeah, I could do this. So I went back to school and became a cop and tried to be the best cop I could. But what I do now is I'm just enjoying, life itself, not having to worry about, fighting with people or worrying about, someone else and what they're doing and trying to help fix somebody else. Where I'm at home, I can relax, I can enjoy time with my wife and my dogs, and my wife has got me watching soap operas. Okay.
Is that better or worse than sitcoms?
No, it's just, I got hooked on watching these really lame, shows. But I enjoy watching these shows. It's our thing, it's like each day we just 2 soap operas we watch.
And you're actually enjoying it.
And enjoying it. So I'm enjoying home life
Gay!
right now. Yep. And it's good. So enjoying.
Now, my wife did it to me with Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon. She sucked me into these like innocent fucking cookie cutter shows, and like I'm into Game of Thrones and metal.
We watch
and
that stuff too. I mean,
but I'm just saying, like, I get what you're saying. Like, there's this fun, innocent, like, bonding. This is the thing we do together. It doesn't need to be serious. We get caught up in this silly story. The Rookie was one of those for us. Yeah.
So
I totally get it, dude.
we do things together. We do things that we can do together, and that was like part of the podcast. I wanted to bring my wife in, and because it's something we can do together, and it's enjoyable. So I'm enjoying my life right now, post police officer, and things are good. I have no complaints, and we just kind of do stuff together. Go to the gym and work out. I spend time at home. Love hanging out. I love doing the podcast. So these things are things that I didn't think I would be doing that I'm doing, and I really enjoy not having those stresses anymore.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah, that's
the
dream.
American dream, right?
And the thing is, I was worried that I would miss law enforcement, and that would be kind of the bane of my existence. And I don't miss law enforcement. I miss the people I worked with because they were so awesome.
The camaraderie, the
right.
brotherhood, the fraternity.
But I don't miss law enforcement, and even what like the stuff that happened yesterday and what's going on now in Minneapolis.
Was it yesterday or
I think it was yesterday,
Tuesday or Monday?
Yeah, it was,
all the days blend together for me. Now.
I don't miss that. That's something I don't miss. And I'm just glad that I'm doing something else.
Well, that's awesome, dude. I'm so happy to hear it, dude. I think you guys are doing something cool. I support it. I hope my subscribers go check it out. Hopefully you guys get some new subs. If not,
I hope so too.
If not, it doesn't mean you guys aren't doing something right. It just means my subscribers aren't. It's not their vibe, you know.
It may not
and that's
be.
the beauty of podcasting, right?
Yep.
It's kind of like creating a band. Like you might love Metallica and not love Megadeth. You might love both. You might love Megadeth and not love Metallica. You might be a Slayer guy. It doesn't really matter. Like,
right. Well,
there's enough space for all of us, and
And
I think you guys are doing something awesome. So I hope enough people check it out, dude.
And I appreciate it, and I appreciate you having me come on the show again.
Oh, of course, dude. We'll keep doing this, man. Like every 6 months or every once a year or whatever.
And I do enjoy, being a guest, and I enjoy being a host, and I like podcasting, and I like it, and it's a band adjacent.
That's my final question. That's my final question is because I noticed this. I've only been a guest on other people's podcasts a couple times, but when I was a guest on somebody else's podcast, I felt like I learned more about podcasting than I did from being a host.
Right.
Because I was able to truly be in your shoes right now. Right.
It's great to have somebody else ask the questions to me, like with you, some good, solid questions, that deal with life, the reality of life, and what's going on in the world. And
I'm not even doing a real interview. I'm just trying to hang out with people and have a good time.
But they're good questions, and and I know that your viewers are going to go like, yeah, what's going on with this? Because everyone, has a way of looking at stuff, and I watch podcasts just to now more than anything else because I want to know what other people are thinking.
Right.
And
why? Like, how did you get to
there?
That fucking,
yeah.
That's a crazy thing to think. What led you down there? Or that's super fucking wise. How'd you get there?
Right.
Whatever their situation is, right? That's kind of all.
And it's relatable. I may not relate to everything, but there's certain pieces where I can relate to how that person got there or what they're feeling. I get it. May not be something that I agree with, but I get it.
No, I feel you,
and that's what I like about it. So
I feel you, man. I love you, brother.
Love you too.
This has been a new friendship, but a very appreciated and cherished one.
Yep.
Shout out to our mutual friends, Patrick Olson, who introduced us, Greg Moog,
Love Greg.
Wally Joseph, Tony Williams. These are all people that have either been on his podcast and or my podcast. Small world type situation. Crazy we never met each other or got to know each other with all the mutual friends we have.
I'm sure our paths
You remember
crossed.
we were hanging out in Discord one night and all of a sudden Greg Moog showed up
and
he was like,
what?
And he goes, hey, what's up, Brett? And I go, wait, you two know each other?
I'm like, Greg? I haven't seen or heard from you in years.
Unprompted, Greg Moog just shows up and you two just like, hey, what's up? And I was like kind of upset about it. I was like, wait, like you're just supposed to be a guest, Greg. You already know everybody here, you son of a bitch.
It is a small world, and our circles probably cross, our paths cross probably numerous times.
This is why when people, random people on the internet call me a piece of shit, they're like, you're a real piece of shit, Jared. I'm like, yeah, I'd have to respect you for that opinion to matter. I don't give a fuck. Like the people that I know and the people that know me and the people that know them, the people with real integrity, dude, I'm straight, man. Like, you might not like everything I say, but, like, I'm a lot of things, but a piece of shit ain't one of them.
Well,
and the other one's an idiot. I'm not dumb, and I'm not an actual piece of shit. Like, I have weird opinions about certain things, man, but I'm super reasonable, and I'm willing to have a conversation with anybody, including people I don't even like. I'll totally sit down and have a rational adult civil conversation with them. These motherfuckers don't. So,
well, it's about respect, and that's the one thing that I enjoy is, there's a modicum of respect. You respect the things that I've done as a police officer, and you're not a big guy on cops.
I don't like authority. I don't like people that. And here's the thing. I don't dislike the people that are cops. I don't dislike the idea of cops. I dislike the idea, or I dislike the manifestation that happens with when you give certain people autonomy.
Right.
It's too easy
Yeah.
to abuse that power.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like. I don't like the idea that there's a group of people that can be easily infiltrated by bad people, and oftentimes those things are abused.
Things work between people that have differing ideas as long as you have respect for each other. Mm-hmm. And that's everything. And
here's the thing, I respect cops.
Yeah.
It's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Like we can't live in the world we live in without cops.
Yeah.
And I genuinely appreciate and love a real good ethical cop like you,
and
the way you described, right, the way you approach it, those are the people we need in law enforcement. What we don't need are adrenaline junkies.
Right. And for the most part, there's more cops out there like me than not. So
unfortunately, it's like the internet.
Yeah.
It only takes one hater, and it takes 10 good guys to outweigh that one hater.
But like I always tell people, you can't take things personally. You got to be a duck in water and let the water roll off your back. That's
I think
it. So
let me rephrase this. It takes 10 haters, or I'm sorry, it takes 10 legitimate fans to equal the weight of one hater.
Yeah.
It takes 10 great cops to equal the weight of one bad cop.
And
that's just breaking even.
I don't disagree with that.
So that means you need 11 cops for every one bad cop to have a net positive. Well, listen, man, I love you, dude. Let's wrap this up, dude. Right. It's 9:30. You got to get out of here. You got a wife. I got a wife. Yep. He's got a girlfriend. At the bar with ... podcast. That's how you guys search those guys. The link should be in the description. Who's your next guest coming up?
Next guest is Wally and his daughter Josie.
When is that? Next Friday or this tomorrow?
That's coming up.
Saturday.
It's Saturday. Then we'll have it out hopefully on Monday. So Mondays are the days that we normally get those podcasts out. So look for it on Monday. And,
go subscribe now, because a lot of you guys have watched this podcast and you like Wally and you like Josie. So go preemptively subscribe to their podcast, so in 3 days when that podcast, or 4 days when it actually comes out, you're ready to watch it in real time. And
we've had a lot of the same people. Thank you, and folks, thanks for checking our podcast out.
I love you, brother.
Thanks for having me on. Cheers, everybody.
This was a blast, dude.
Always a blast.
Let's get out of here.
All right.
Love you guys.
All right, cheers.
Jared Singer Extravaganza, Jared Singer Extravaganza, Jared Singer Extravaganza. Sit back and put your hands up for Jared Singer Extravaganza, Jared Singer Extravaganza, Jared Singer Extravaganza. Sorry, but it's time to go. Tell somebody that you know. We hope you enjoyed the show.